Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Sorry for the absence. Well, I'm not really sorry. I was in Italy and Greece and technically in the economic exclusion zone of Turkey. Although I did not step foot in Turkey, so you know, something economic exclusion zone, something. Who knows? But anyway, here we are. Hopefully back to our normal schedule. So we'll let some people trickle in, and we will try to have a good time today. Audio kind of low. Audio kind of low on YouTube. Is that the case? You guys want to confirm that? YouTube? That was weird. The screen just went black. Is the audio okay on YouTube? It's a little bit low. Interesting. That's hard to make sense of because you guys are getting direct feed from my mic, and my mic is here, and I'm almost at the point of blowing out the mic, of capping out, right? What you might be noticing is that my voice is a little raspy and it's a little bit quiet, and that's just because I lost my voice, basically. So it sounds like a different mic, really. Let me double check. No, it's the same mic. So what you might be hearing is that it's a different me. My voice sounds different because, and I actually don't think it's reverb either. My voice sounds different because I haven't fully recovered from a cold. That's why my voice, like, I can't. Yeah, I think it's just my voice being raspy. So we do have a super chat. Unfortunately, I can't highlight it because it came in before I fixed my tech issues. But from Gretchen with the $3.11. Thanks for Flurf Wednesday, Blitzy. Welcome home. Missed it. Well, I appreciate that a lot. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I am a bit hoarse. But I still, you know, we still do what we got to do, right? All right, so we have some guests in the guest box. Why don't we bring them up and have a convo? The different mic is a bit tinny. Well, it's the same mic, like you can see it. So I don't know what's going on there, but let's talk to Evan Craft. Gotta remember what I'm doing. Let's see if he shows up. Doesn't look like he wants to, but... No? Oh, actually, I know what the issue is. That'll probably work. Yep, that'll probably fix it. There probably was a little bit of reverb because I had global detection on rather than just directional. And so it was probably, you know, bouncing off the wall. So that probably does it, actually. All right, well, it looks like Evan's not showing up. Let's talk to Son of Tarkata.
Hey, Blitz.
Son of Tarkata, how's it going?
How are you, man? I'm good.
I'm getting over a cold. Son of Tarkata, what shape do you think the Earth is?
So, as an individual, I don't know. But obviously, I was educated to believe it's round, so I believe it's round. I don't have an issue with it being round, but I personally have never verified that.
Okay. Have you been to Australia?
Nope.
Okay, so you believe Australia exists, but you personally haven't verified it?
Yeah.
Okay, so like in the same way that you think that Australia exists, do you think that the Earth is a sphere?
Yeah, that's what I was told at school. That's what we believe as a culture, so I believe it.
Okay, well then it sounds like that we don't really have a disagreement here.
But may I ask you a question?
Sure, make it quick though.
So, as a human being, you and I are human beings, right?
Yep.
When I look at the sun and the moon, it would seem as though these two objects are astronomically smaller than whatever this thing is that I'm on. Like, to the naked eye, that's what it seems like.
I'm not sure how you would... Well, wait a minute, hold on. This was a question?
Yeah, so how would you prove to me that that thing in the sky that seems to be greatly smaller than what we are, how would you prove it's
Well, I
astronomically
would disagree
bigger?
that it's great that it appears to be greatly smaller than what we are. I don't know why
And it
we would
also
conclude
seems
that.
as though it rotates, it follows a course.
Yeah,
But you would say that no, we rotate around it.
well, I mean, that's just a matter of perspective. Clearly, like, surely you agree that, like, regardless of which thing is moving, you can always change your perspective so that the other thing looks like it's moving, right? But look, what I'm curious about is why do you think that, like, it's a surefire thing that, yeah, of course it appears smaller than us?
Just because that's the observation I make with my eyes, it just looks smaller.
Okay, can I help you out with something really quick?
Sure.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. So, are you familiar with this wonderful TV show called Father Ted?
I've heard it before, yeah.
It's a TV show created by you folk, the British. Actually, I think maybe the Irish. I
Okay,
don't know.
one last
I
time.
know Father Ted.
Yeah. So
These are small, but the ones out there are far away. Small, far away. Forget it.
So it seems like you're having this same trouble that Father Dougal is having, namely that you think that the cows are small, but in reality they're just far away.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. The issue is that if I were to ask you, because you know about this way better than I do, wherever we stand on the planet, is the sun and the moon to the observation of our naked eyes, do they always appear to be the same size?
Yeah, basically.
So you and I, we can walk up to the cow
Yep.
and it will increase in size as we bridge that gap,
Yeah.
right? But on this planet, the celestial bodies in the sky, they always seem the same size.
So why are you comparing walking up to the cow, but walking sideways, you know, whatever, relative to the thing in the sky? You can walk up to the thing in the sky too, and then it'll get bigger.
No, but we can't.
Why not?
No, but the example that I gave to you before, just to simplify it to me as a human being, I can't get up there to that thing. It just always seems to be that size.
Well, it always seems to be that size because you're always basically the same distance away from it.
Yeah, and unlike the cow, we can't walk up to the cow. We can't swim up to the boat in the distance in the ocean. We can't do that with the universe.
I mean, you can go to the moon. Well, maybe you can't, but like people can.
Supposedly, but I can't.
I mean, look, I don't know how old you are or how good your grades were or how good your eyesight is, so maybe you can't. But like in principle, if you are talented enough, you too can be an astronaut and go to the moon.
Yeah, but most people aren't, right?
Well, yeah, most people aren't heart surgeons. That doesn't mean that like heart surgery isn't real.
Yeah, but Blitz, you keep giving this example. I can rip you open right now and look at your heart.
No, you can't.
Okay.
No, you can't.
Look, so
you're like 6,000 miles away.
okay, look, so so the space station analogy, right? What the thing that you said about space station. When people go up to the space station,
I didn't say anything about the
does the
space
sun-
station.
are there people not on space stations or on satellites? No.
There are people on the space station, but I didn't say anything about that.
Okay, so those guys that are up there, does the sun still look the same size to them?
Yeah, because they're basically the same distance away. They're not very far away from us. They're like 400 miles up. Sorry, like 260 miles up.
Yeah, so I'm just asking you, like, how would you, like, as another human being, that you have these ideas, these concepts, how would you prove this to me if if I wasn't raised in the Western world and I had this education? Because
Well,
again, I
we can
believe
measure
that.
the distance to the moon just using essentially trigonometry. So if you take two people who are both looking at the moon at the same time, maybe they're on the telephone with each other or whatever, you can measure the moon's position relative to nearby stars with like a sextant or like a protractor, some sort of angle measuring device. And if you have precise enough measurements, and you don't have to be that precise, you can, it's not that difficult. You can do it with no training. You can figure out how far away the moon is based off of how its position appears to be in different places from different perspectives relative to the background stars. So, you know, if you have one person on the west coast of the United States, another person on the east coast of the United States, you can take a picture of the moon at the same time, and if there are stars nearby, one of those, that star might be visible from one person's perspective and not visible from the other person's perspective because the star would be behind the moon. And you can use that to figure out how far away the moon is just by triangulation. And you get a few 100,000 miles, like 250,000 miles or something like this? 235,000 maybe. So like this is not something that requires like you believing some government or something like this. This is a fairly straightforward fact that you can observe yourself with a buddy a few thousand miles away.
Well, that was useful information, but I didn't ask you how far away the moon was. But
No, I'm telling
useful.
you how you can figure out how far away the moon is. If you were like some person who didn't live in the Western world and educated by the West, like this is something that you can figure out yourself just by using some fairly basic geometry.
No, that's awesome. I just didn't. It's not what I asked you though. But yeah, look, that's my point. I believe the Earth is round, but for all I know, it could be a triangle. I've never like gone out into space and looked back at this thing. But yeah, I just think it. Yeah, you know.
Do you think that you
yeah.
need to go to space to figure out the shape of the Earth?
I know you can have ways where you can like see the curvature, you can measure things, but to have like to really know, like for the average human being, I just don't know how I would even know.
I mean, look, it just seems like that this is kind of a cop-out. Of course we can measure these things, and if we can measure these things, even if you're not seeing it directly, that's enough to know.
Cop out of what?
It's like a cop-out for, you know, actually understanding that this is a thing that you in principle could figure out yourself without going to space.
Oh, but what am I copping out of that? I just said I just don't know.
Yeah, your skepticism is a cop-out.
No, I'm not a skeptic. I believe the Earth is round, but I'm just saying that I don't know. Yeah, I've never done the work myself. I just believe it.
So look, but to say that you cannot do the work, that you can only know it by going to space and looking down, that's a mistake.
No, I said me. I said just me. Like I'm not great at math and stuff, but I just believe it. You know.
Okay. Well, look, more power to you. I'm glad that you believe it, I guess. Anything else you want to talk about, or should I let you go?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, take care. That was an interesting conversation. He was... Like, I'm glad that he doesn't think the Earth is flat. That's good. That's a good thing. But it seems like it's for a bad reason, and I don't like that. That feels bad. Like, you should believe true things because you have good reason to believe them, right? Yeah, argumentum ad mathbatum or something. I think it was a flat earther, but just didn't want to say it. It definitely seemed like it. But he was pretty insistent that he wasn't, so... Alright, well, currently, you know, the live might be slow today because I haven't been live for a while, but currently there are 330 people in the TikTok live stream, and then across other platforms, another, I don't know, like, another 250, something like that. I don't actually know, I should figure out Why does the connection to the vertical seem like it's poor? Why does it say poor? Don't love that. Yeah, like another 400 across other platforms. So there should be plenty of you guys who are flat earthers, or maybe there's not. Maybe all of the flat earthers have fallen off. In which case, I guess we can just begin declaring victory, that the flat earth has been defeated. All of the flat earth lives are just cope because they recognize and they acknowledge that they've been lied to because they can't defend their views. It just seems like it's over. I guess the flat earth live streams can be done now. I mean, if none of them are brave enough to come up and, defend the view, then the GG, go next. Mission accomplished, I guess. Cool. Yeah, okay, so, no, I mean, I'm just trying to bait them because of course I am. From helping MAGA deconstruct with the $2, how was your cruise to the Flurf ice wall? Actually, it's true. That is where I went. I went to the ice wall, and I saw the firmament touching the ground. It's true. I've seen it. It's a fact. We've been lied to. Anyway, so let's we'll give it another few minutes, and if there are no more guests, because it's possible that the flat earthers have decided that they're too afraid to have the debate, then we'll move on to another topic. We'll take on another topic for today, which is fine because we don't usually do flat earth on Wednesday anyway. Oh, do you guys want to see some pictures of cats? Here, let me show you guys some things. So I was in the Eastern Mediterranean last week, and there aren't a lot. I didn't see a lot of cats, but I did see a few. Oh, also, I saw this very handsome seagull. Oh, wrong way. Very handsome seagull. Look at that guy. Look at that guy just looking directly at me. That was in Rome. Here's a cat who looked like he had smoked too much. Look at those eyes. For all you Overwatch fans, I did go to Ilios. I don't know if you know about that, but I went to Ilios. Sorry, I'm just sharing pictures from my vacation at this point. Oh, here's another cat that I met. Look at all these pictures of cats I got. Isn't that great? Okay. Anyway, we have a super chat from Dark Taper with the 623 Canuck bucks. You deserve a break, but I missed your streams. You keep such a level head. Well, I appreciate that. All right, so we are going to change topics. Just give me a minute. I just got to, finagle some stuff. On YouTube or on TikTok, it'll be no problem. We can just switch over to this topic. This is an interesting topic for a lot of people. I just got to change the name of these live streams really quick. And then we should be good to go. We'll see if we get any bites here. This topic's been pretty slow for a while too. So if we don't get any bites here, we'll just move more to the kind of pure atheist one, because those ones are pretty consistently good. So yeah, should do the list thing where they pick prompts. I don't like doing the list thing. It takes up too much space. Yeah, Flat Earth really is dead. I agree. It is. We've defeated them. So for those who don't know, creationism is this idea. This idea that the world was created by a creator. In some cases, it's the world was created by a creator 6,000 years ago, and that's like a whole thing that we can talk about. But it doesn't have to be the case. that they think that it's 6,000 years old in order for it to be creationism. More watching here than 100 channels. Yeah. I have a generally fairly large audience. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have a large audience. I feel like you can't do the Trump impression. Oh, here's another cat. Look at this cat being a good guy, a good boy. This cat was in Mykonos, on a Greek island. Let me see. Let me see if I can find more cats. I always take oh, here's another cat. This one's a video of a cat. It's my wife petting the cat. Very good cat. Look at that cat. That cat's really enjoying the head scritches. Right? Very good cat. Oh, you guys want to see something funny? It's less funny and more sad. Okay, actually, we have a guest, so we'll bring up a guest and we'll fill the dead air with more trip stuff. Matthew Davids, how's it going?
Dr. Blitz. Hello.
Matthew Davids, how's it going?
It's going good.
Glad to hear it. Matthew, do you believe that the world was created?
I believe that the universe began, yes. Can I go get my charger? Can you give me 1 sec?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, yes. Let me go get my charger. My phone's already at 2%. Please hold on.
You're fine.
One second.
I'm already waiting.
Oh. Alright, hold on.
Something belongs in it.
Dr. Blitz. Oh, I can buy my charger.
Matthew,
Yeah.
you find it?
Yeah, here it is. Okay, so
glad to hear it. So Matthew, you think that the universe has a beginning? That wasn't my question. Do you think it was created?
yeah, if it began, then it was created.
Well, I'm not sure if those two things are the same. I mean, the way that I'm using created is that there is an agent that we would call the creator of a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if the Earth was created, then you're saying that there is indeed a creator. I don't think that follows for things that have beginnings, though. For example, we could talk about like a crystal forming through the natural process of, water dripping in a cave with some sort of dissolved mineral in it, and it gradually forms over time. We would say that that crystal has a beginning. The crystal didn't exist and then it did exist. But to say that it has a creator is probably a mistake, because there's no agent that's directing the beginning of this object. It's just a thing that happened through some natural process. So that's the distinction I'm making.
Oh, okay. So creationism isn't like okay. Wait, so this creator, is it like the cause of the universe, though?
Well, I don't think that there is such a thing. I'm asking you if you think that there is a creator for the universe, for the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Why should I think that there is?
So, the universe, well, obviously you think that the universe is eternal, right?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you think, oh, okay, so there could be a transcendent reality?
I don't see how that follows.
Okay, so if the universe is not eternal, that means that that it could have began, right?
Yeah, there could be a first moment of time. Sure.
Okay, so if there is a first moment, like, does that imply that there was a prior state in which it did not exist?
No. There are no prior states if there's a first moment.
So, in other words, the universe is eternal, just with a first moment.
Eternal means that there is no first moment, that every moment has a prior moment. A first moment means that there is a first moment, meaning that there are no prior moments. I don't know what the confusion is.
Oh, wait, so eternal means that there's always a moment prior?
Yeah, that's what for every moment, there is a moment prior to it. That's what it would mean to be eternal.
Okay, so from my understanding of eternal, okay, So what is where does this definition come from? 'Cause I know that there's distinctions between the definitions, but the definition I'm using is just does not begin.
So would you say that something that doesn't exist is eternal under that definition? Like, is Voldemort eternal because Voldemort doesn't exist? Hence, he never began. He never began.
Okay, so you're saying just because, okay, so if something did not begin, does that mean it's eternal?
No.
So I'm saying for something that already exists, right, that has no beginning, not something that does not exist. So if something, like let's say the universe right now exists, right, we can say that the universe had no beginning. So this only applies to things that actually exist.
Yeah, so if your claim is just that things that exist but have no beginning, and by beginning I assume you mean a first moment, yeah, then we could probably say that those things are past eternal. It doesn't necessarily imply that they're future eternal, but we could say that they're past eternal, sure.
Okay, yeah, so that's all I wanted to know. So as long as we're, okay, so the whole entire reason we're talking about this right now is whether or not I'm trying to see if you think that there's a transcendent reality. So if you think that the universe, so there was no prior state to the universe's existence, right?
If
like,
the universe is not past eternal, then there is a moment, there is a moment of time in which there are no prior moments of time.
Okay. So, well, yeah. So is there, okay, so is there a spatial boundary, I guess? I could just say that.
Is there a spatial boundary?
Yeah. Is there anything beyond the universe is basically what I'm asking.
I don't think so.
Okay, so you're not conceding to transcendent reality. Okay, so the universe is all there is then, right?
I mean, yeah, I think that that's a reasonable definition of what the universe is.
Okay, so, yeah, so you're not claiming that we have an infinite past, right?
I'm not claiming that, no. I think that that's a possibility, but I also don't think that it's been empirically shown.
Okay, so you think that the universe is always, okay, so is the universe cyclic?
I think it's a possibility.
Okay, so what do you think? Like, what is your worldview? I'm confused.
My worldview is that creationism is false.
Yeah, I understand that. And when you say that the universe has a first moment, right?
No, I say that that's a possibility.
Is the universe infinitely expanding?
Is the universe currently expanding? Yeah, sure.
No, is it infinitely expanding? Is it ever going to contract?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay. So, you don't know? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what I'm trying to say is it's either the universe is infinitely going to expand into the future or it's going to contract. And if it's going to infinitely expand to the future, then that means that we're going to reach maximum entropy eventually, which doesn't really matter. But as long as it doesn't matter, all I need to know right now is that we have a finite past, correct?
Well, no, I mean, like, I'm willing to grant a finite past. I don't know how that gets you to a creator.
Okay, so we have a finite past.
Yeah.
Then that means that when we go far back enough, then we reach a boundary, right?
No.
Space and time?
No, it doesn't mean that.
Okay, so if there's not a finite past, okay, well, wait, now I'm confused. Okay, so if the past is not finite.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm willing to grant that the past
is finite.
I'm willing to grant that the past is finite, yeah.
Yeah, the past is not infinite, the past is finite. So if the past is finite, then that means that there's a boundary.
No, it doesn't mean that. Are you familiar with Hawking's no boundary, or the Hartle-Hawking no boundary proposal?
No, I never heard of that.
So this is a proposal, and I don't have to get into the details, but the no boundary proposal is merely that there is a moment of time where if you try to trace a trajectory past that first moment of time, that your trajectory is no longer time-like, it becomes space-like, and the spatial universe that you're in, which doesn't have any time, the spatial portion of the universe that you're in that doesn't have any time, doesn't have a boundary. It's just like a cap. And there's a nice diagram I can show you, which might explain things. Let me pull it up really quick. Oops, it's one sec. I don't know why this isn't, well, okay. I do know why it's in Spanish because it's probably a Spanish source, but yeah, so here's the, where'd he go? Why'd he leave? God damn it. Okay, well. We did our best. We did our best, y'all. All right, we have some super. Oh, he's back. Let's bring him up.
I don't know what happened. My TikTok closed out.
You're good. Okay, so I was just showing you a diagram. So here's the picture. Obviously it's a cartoon, but hopefully it'll explain what I mean. So in this part of the diagram, there's time, and in this part of the diagram, there's only space. There's no time. And so at this boundary, it's like an imaginary boundary. It's just like a transition period between the timeless state to the time-full state is where the first moment of time is. That's where t equals 0 is. But then if you keep winding so there is a first moment of time, because if you keep winding the clock back, you're no longer talking about time, you're talking about space. But then there's no boundary as you keep going backwards along a trajectory. You just kind of run back into where you started, you just would loop around, right?
Okay, so you said that there is like an imaginary, but I'm confused. There's an imaginary boundary.
So it's just a transition, and you can draw a line there to like demarcate the transition, but it's like a smooth transition from time to space.
Okay, so what is this called, and like what are you trying to like? What is this?
It's called the Hartle-Hawking no boundary proposal. This was proposed by James Hartle and Stephen Hawking in 1984, or in the 1980s anyway. And the idea is merely this is a way that you can have a universe that has a first moment of time. So that's where this like inflation is. It's that first moment of time. And yet there is no boundary, because in some sense, if you keep trying to go back further beyond that first moment of time, you just end up at space. You just end up in space rather than time, and that spatial region doesn't have any boundaries. So this is all to say, it is at least mathematically consistent with our known laws of physics to have a universe that has a first moment of time and yet has no boundaries.
Okay, so what you said was that you just end up in space rather than time.
Yeah.
And like that spatial region, would you say doesn't have like a boundary?
Yeah, in the same way like the surface of the Earth doesn't have a boundary, right?
The surface of the Earth doesn't have a boundary.
Yeah, it's just like, even though it's finite, it just doesn't have a boundary.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. So what is this like showing us? Like, what does this mean?
It's just a proposal for the way the universe could be. I'm not saying it's the way the universe is.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying like if this was the case,
if this was the case, what this means is that there'd be a first moment of time, and as you keep going, as you try to wind the clock back further, like, you run your calculations so that t becomes negative instead of being positive, you find out that t is no longer a temporal variable, it's a spatial variable, and then you wind up back at this kind of bowl-shaped thing. A way to think about this is, imagine everything north of the North Pole. Imagine that like you're on the Earth, and your latitude lines north of the North Pole correspond to times, and your latitude lines south of the North Pole, your latitude lines north of the equator correspond to times, and your latitude lines south of the equator correspond to places. And so there's time, and then you get to the equator, which is t equals 0, and you keep going further, and now there's just space, but there's no boundary anywhere, even though there is a first moment of time, the first moment of time being the equator.
Okay, I understand a little bit more now. So you're talking about like, okay, so there's no boundary, and you're saying that this suggests that the universe has a finite past but no initial boundary, like the North Pole?
So in this case, neither the North Pole or the South Pole are boundaries. They're just like, it kind of closes off, right? But there's not like a...
You're saying like you can't go north of the North Pole. But the North Pole
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that so forget about what's going on in the Northern Hemisphere, because it's just normal time stuff happening there. As you go further back past t equals 0, you find that you're purely spatial. There's no time anymore, it's just space. But the space just caps off. There's no boundary there. There's no edge.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that it's a contingent reality, and any contingent reality, whether it has a temporal boundary or not, still requires an explanation for why it exists. Rather
Okay,
than
that's a
nothing.
complete pivot from where you were going, but okay.
So
Why did you bring? Why did
the
you bring
kalam
up at
still
all?
applies.
Why did you bring up at all? If it has a first moment, then it has a past boundary. Why did you bring that up at all? If you were just going to pivot to, some sort of contingency argument.
Well, no, I'm saying, no, it doesn't eliminate the need for a cause. It only eliminates a temporal boundary.
It eliminates any boundary.
Well, I would just. Well, what do you mean? I think it only eliminates a temporal boundary from the way.
There's no spatial boundary either.
Well, from what you the way that you've been describing it, it's like a self-contained space-time that is finite in the past, right?
Yep.
And that's not nothing, right? It's a specific structure contingent reality, and any contingent reality, whether it has a temporal boundary or
it's
not.
a specific structure. I don't know what that has to do with contingent reality.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that any contingent reality, whether it has a temporal boundary or not, still requires an explanation for why it exists rather than nothing.
Okay, so there's two things going on here. First, you're asserting that the universe is indeed a contingent reality, which that requires justification. Second, you're just asserting the principle of sufficient reason, which is probably not the kind of thing that you want to just assert and believe in wholeheartedly. So, do you want to defend either premise?
Okay, so you said I'm asserting PSR, and you said what?
And that the universe is indeed contingent.
That the universe is contingent?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm asserting that the universe is contingent. So, yeah, I'm not going to do a special pleading, but I thought, well, I mean, we've talked before. I don't really think that I would have to go too deep into why I think that the universe is contingent. I'm using weak PSR, not strong. But anyways, so
then it doesn't, wait, so the weak PSR is that it may have an explanation, not that it does have an explanation.
What'd you say?
The weak PSR is that it may have an explanation.
Yeah, but the distinction between weak would if it's strong, that means that God would also need explanation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so why does the weak PSR just says that it's possible that there's an explanation for a contingent thing. Which also means that it's possible that there is not an explanation for this contingent thing. So even if I granted that the universe was contingent, if you're using the weak PSR, then it just doesn't follow that there has to be an explanation for it.
Okay, well, let me respond to what you said first. So, you said I'm asserting the principle of sufficient reason, at least. So, I'm saying that contingent things have an explanation for their existence, and yes, I'm also asserting that the universe is contingent, meaning it failed to exist.
So the first statement that you made, contingent things have an explanation for their existence, that is the strong PSR.
Wait, what'd you say?
That contingent things, I mean, it's a subset of the strong PSR, but that contingent things have an explanation for their existence, that's the strong PSR, that's not the weak PSR.
Okay, weak PSR does not imply that it may have a beginning, it just implies that whatever begins has a cause, but it doesn't imply that
the weak PSR doesn't say anything about beginning.
No, strong PSR means everything that exists needs a cause. Weak PSR does not claim that.
Weak PSR, so the weak PSR states that contingent things may have a cause. They possibly have a cause. The strong PSR is that contingent things, sorry, not cause, explanation. The weak PSR is that contingent things do or may have an explanation. The strong PSR is that contingent things must have an explanation.
Well, I mean, I think the real question here is how a finite past gets us a beginning. Whether or not, PSR applies or any of these things, we'd have to first demonstrate how a finite past would even give us a beginning in the first place.
How a finite past what?
How a finite past would even give us a beginning of the universe in the first place. So a finite past
by definition would, like, if there's a finite past, that means that there's a first moment. That by definition is the beginning. By the way, there's some background noise. I don't know if you could handle that, but...
oh yeah, I can go get my headphones. Let me go get my headphones.
Okay.
Man, it's hot. I never seen you appeal to this. You usually don't argue. This must be like something new that you learned or something. I don't know.
No. I've been familiar with the PSR for a long time.
No, not this. I'm talking about, what was it called?
The Hartle-Hawking state? I bring it up.
Yeah, I never even seen you bring it up
all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Recently, maybe. I don't know.
No. I've been using this as a counterexample for the claim that you've been that people bring up for like 2 or 3 years now.
So if the universe has a finite past, then that means that there are only like a finite number of moments stretching back, right? So there's a first moment.
Well, that's a separate issue. Whether or not there's an infinite number of moments or a finite number of moments is, it's like how many moments are between now and 10 minutes from now, right? Is there an
Well, I
infinite
think
number or a
that's
finite number?
well, no, okay, Dr. Blitz, we've already agreed that it doesn't have an infinite past. We've
Well,
already
no.
agreed
I
with
mean,
this.
there could be an infinite number of moments between now and 10 minutes from now. It depends on whether or not time is
There could be
infinitely
an infinite
divisible.
number of moments between now and 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not time is infinitely divisible, right?
Okay, but we're not talking about the future. We're talking about the past.
There could be an infinite number of moments between now and 10 minutes ago. It depends on whether or not time is infinitely divisible or not, right?
Wait. I'm so confused. Okay, so does it have an infinite past or not?
There can be a first moment, and it could still be the case that there have been an infinite number of moments between now and that first moment. That would require that those moments
Oh,
are
you're talking
infinitely
about like a
divisible.
number of divisible numbers.
Yeah. So we could talk about days. It's possible that there is a first day, and then if that's the case, then there's a finite number of days between that first day and now.
Okay, so, well, that's not the kind of infinity the Kalam is concerned with, is it? Though
It's not the kind of what?
that's not the kind of infinity that the Kalam is concerned with. The
Okay.
Kalam is concerned
You're
with
not making. You
the
weren't
past
making
as
the
a whole.
Kalam argument. You were making a contingency argument.
No. We're talking about no. I told you that we're gonna have to establish whether or not a finite past means a beginning or not. I
A
just
finite
dropped
past by
all that
definition means a
completely.
beginning.
Wait, a finite past by definition means a beginning,
Yeah,
as in a first moment,
Yeah.
or a beginning of the universe.
a first moment.
Yeah, that's just assuming that the universe did not begin then.
No, it's not. If it did, it
Yeah,
does.
it is.
If there's a first moment, then the universe, look. If by begin you mean that there was as far as I'm concerned, begin means first moment. I don't know what else you mean by begin, if not first moment.
So by begin, it's pretty simple: to exist at a finite point such that there is a prior state in which the entity did not exist.
Okay, so a prior state in what sense? Like a temporal prior state, or what kind of
So then
prior state?
obviously no. Well, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about, but specifically for time, no, not temporal priority.
Okay, so then what kind of priority are you using here?
Ontological dependence, logical priority.
Well, okay, so I don't grant that moments have ontological dependence on prior moments any more than they have ontological dependence on future moments.
Well, that's just smuggling in temporal language.
My point is I don't grant that there is ontological dependence between events at all.
Well, you don't grant that there's ontological moments.
No, I don't grant that there's ontological dependence. Or logical
What's the
dependence,
argument
for
for
that
that?
matter. I don't even know what that means.
What's the argument for that assertion?
I'm saying I don't grant that. That's not an argument. I'm saying that I'm not willing to grant some assertion that you made.
Well, okay, I'm making the assertion, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, you're making the assertion that there's even this notion of a state having ontological dependence on some other thing, like a state that the universe is in having ontological dependence on some. I don't want to use the word prior because we're trying to talk about what we mean by prior, but on some prior
No,
state.
you don't have to mean temporal priority. I'm not
talking about temporal priority. I'm just talking about
No, yeah, I
talking
know.
about
We don't have to go
ontological or
too
logical.
deep.
Now, what I could
trust
say
me,
is
I'll
that there's.
understand.
So what I am happy to say is that there's some geometric relation between the first moment, the first like t equals 0, the universe in the state that the universe was in at t equals 0, and the state that the universe was in some geometrically prior state. I'm happy to say that thing is possible.
Okay, so yeah, I can just give you the well, I mean, how can I even? So are you saying that the universe is necessary, right? So that it could not exist,
I'm not making that claim.
couldn't not exist?
I'm not making that claim. I think that's like plausible, but I'm not making that claim. No.
Okay, is the universe all that there exists right now? Yes or no?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Okay, so there is no spatial boundary. There's no transcendent reality.
Yeah.
We've already established that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the universe is necessary. that it couldn't not exist.
That doesn't follow from anything that I just said.
Well, we've already established that the universe is all that there is. So if you're going to say that the universe is all that there is, then there's no such thing as a transcendent reality, because beyond the universe is impossible if the universe is all that there is.
Yeah? How does that get you to the universe is necessary?
If the universe is all that there is, then that means that there's nothing beyond it, so it'll be the ultimate reality.
How does that mean that the universe is necessary?
Okay, so, so are you saying that the universe could fail to exist?
I mean, again, like, it's conceptually plausible, sure, or conceptually possible. I'm not committed to that the universe is necessary or that the universe is brute. Like, it could be one or the other. I'm not committed to any one in particular.
Okay. So if the universe could fail to exist, then, I mean, in terms, then that would just imply that it's not necessary. And if it's not necessary, then that means that it can fail to exist. And if it can fail to exist, then that means that means it's not necessary. So if it's not necessary, then that means it didn't always exist.
It doesn't mean that it didn't always exist. But to be clear, we're talking about the state of the universe as a whole, which is, and time is like a part of that thing. So to talk about it always existing is probably the incorrect language.
I feel like I honestly feel like we're not even getting anywhere. Like, I feel like we're not even talking about. I feel like. Well, I feel like we're trying to talk about something. I feel like we're trying to talk about something, but it's just not working out.
Well, it's so you haven't presented an argument. That's why. And instead you're just trying to like figure out how you can weasel my worldview out.
No, I'm just trying to figure out.
Show that it's false. Like the point is make an argument for the claim that you're making.
No, I'm trying to figure out whether or not, like, if you think that the universe is necessary, if you think it failed to exist,
I don't hold a stance on that.
Fail to exist, but if it failed to exist, then that means that.
I don't hold a stance on that. I think that so I'm talking about like epistemology here. Like I'm talking about epistemological possibility. I think that's epistemologically possible that the universe is necessary. I think it's epistemologically possible that the universe could have failed to exist, and hence, and the fact that it does exist is a brute fact. I think that both things are like I could conceive of those things. I don't have a particularly strong argument against either one of them, so I don't see a reason to accept one over the other.
Okay. So are you just like?
I'm pretty agnostic about like the ontology of the universe. What I am not agnostic about.
Agnostic? Yeah, I was gonna say that.
What I'm not agnostic about is that the universe doesn't have a creator.
Oh, okay. So if the universe doesn't have a creator, and you already admitted that it could either be necessary or fail to exist, so if the universe, let's just say that it could fail to exist, right? If it could fail to exist, then that means that it hasn't existed eternally, right?
No, that doesn't mean that.
Okay, so what does eternal mean by definition? According to, I guess, what definition are you holding to, and where are you getting this definition from?
I'm just using a standard English definition. That eternal means that for every day there's a day before it.
For every day there's a day before it?
Yeah.
Okay, where does this definition come from?
It's just the way that I use the word. Like, I've lived on this earth for 32 years. I've used the word and read the word eternal. Over the course of those 32 years, this is how I understand what the word means.
Okay, I feel you. That's yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I don't really think that there's anything for us to disagree with here.
So then,
there's really no argument.
Look, I could grant.
Like, there's nothing for me to like. If you're not going to make any claims or. Like,
so my claim is that there's not a creator.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason I make this claim is that it seems like a creator.
Well, then
doesn't.
Do you have like a premise for this, so I can actually I would have to reject the premise.
I'm gonna walk you through it. I mean, like, if you want, I could syllogize it for you.
Yeah, I feel like I would just have to reject the premise at this point.
Well, no. So I'm just gonna walk you through the reasoning, and then we can just talk about it if you want. So my reasoning is first. It seems like that there are a lot of worldviews that are compatible with the data that we have, that are not obviously internally inconsistent, that can explain the data that we see without appealing to a creator. The question of origins of the universe, whether it's past eternal, whether it has a finite past but it has no boundary, all of these things, these are at least plausible given the data that we have, and they don't require a creator. They don't require anything outside of the physical world that we live in. And so it seems, at least on Occam's razor ground, there's probably not a good reason to posit that there is a creator unless you have some piece of unexplained data. And it's as far as I can tell, there just isn't some piece of unexplained data. Then there's the additional facts that talking about a creator, some sort of metaphysical entity, that gets you to a whole bunch of, in order to believe in such a thing, in order to think such a thing exists, there's a whole bunch of metaphysical buy-in that you need to ascribe to. For example, you need to ascribe to this idea that it's possible for a mind to exist without a body. And given all the data that we have access to, that seems like it's not the case, right? It seems like, all of the minds that we've ever, encountered, they're always attached to like brains. And we have good reason to think that, in fact, they're intrinsically linked to brains. Whether or not like there's some sort of like dualism happening here, it seems like they have to be tied to brains in order to exist. At least that's what all of our data seems to suggest. Then there's further issues with a being, an agent, even existing, what it even means for an agent to exist in a metaphysical reality where there is no time, there is no space. Well, typically, what do you call something that doesn't exist at a place, at a time? You say it doesn't exist. Right? And so, as far as I'm concerned...
No, I would call it spaceless and timeless.
Yeah, so where is it? Nowhere. When is it? No when. It sounds like it doesn't exist. But more to the point, it sounds like... It seems like you're going to have a really hard time making sense of what an agent even is. If it has none of the, if it has no extension, if it has no temporal experience, it seems like that there's nothing there to be an agent. It seems like agents require these things like temporal extension and perhaps spatial extension. So there's just a lot of metaphysical buy-in that you need to accept and you need to make sense of if you want to say that there's a creator. And given that the creator doesn't seem to bias anything explanatorily, it just seems like there's no reason to buy into the view at all.
So yeah, I guess I understand what you're saying. Mostly you said a lot, but what I really want to touch upon what you said is you brought up what would a being even like be that's outside of like, I guess how can we say that? I don't want to straw man, like that's outside of like space and time, right?
Yeah.
What would it,
what would it mean for it to be an agent that can make decisions?
Okay. Yeah. I understand. Okay, I don't want my phone to die. Okay, so I guess like, oh wait, what happened? Am I still in here? Oh, I thought I got kicked. Or I mean, I thought I got disconnected. Like things got louder. But anyways, so I think that I remember you said that worldviews are compatible with the data, right, or something like that.
Yeah. So we have a lot of work. We have a lot of like kind of physicalist.
You said like many worldviews can accommodate the same data, right?
Yeah. We have like a lot of physicalist kind of conceptions of the origins of the universe that are different, but
so
they're compatible with the data that we have.
But the question is, which worldview provides that best explanation?
Right. And so
the question isn't
what
like
is
many worldviews can
unexplained?
accommodate the same data.
What is unexplained on the what is unexplained that needs explanation on the on any sort of physicalist worldview that is explained on the creator worldview?
Consciousness, morality.
Well, consciousness doesn't seem like it's explained on the creationist worldview, and reality, it's not clear to me that that's the category of things that needs explanation.
Well,
we typically talk about explanations being things within reality.
It depends. So if there is a creator to the universe, then it depends on whether or not it's personal or impersonal. And if it's personal, then I would argue...
To be clear, if it's impersonal, I wouldn't even call it a creator.
Well, yeah, I would just say it's a cause then of the universe.
Yeah, and I'm fine. Like I don't think that there's such a like metaphysical thing, but like that's irrelevant to the conversation of creationism in my view.
So what I'm trying to say is the Kalam isn't claiming that no other view is possible. It's claiming that that a transcendent cause is the most reasonable inference from the finitude of the past. So the contingency of the universe and the reality of causality.
So look, as far as I'm concerned, explanations are the kinds of things that exist within reality. Like we talk about thing A being explained by thing B within reality.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. You're saying that explanations exist within reality, but reality itself would need an explanation. That's the thing we're saying here.
What I'm saying is that reality doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would have an explanation. Because explanations are, as far as like all of our explanatory processes go, as far as like the entire endeavor of philosophy and all of this stuff is always talking about stuff in reality. We're always talking, like, the explanations are things in reality. So you can't talk about an explanation for reality itself, because then that explanation could not be a thing in reality.
No, we're not talking about an explanation in reality. We're talking about an explanation of reality.
Right. What I'm saying is that you can't have an explanation of reality, because the explanation of reality would necessarily have to be disjoint from reality. Or it would have to be, you know, it couldn't be identical to reality.
It depends on what you're defining as reality. For you,
whatever reality is, surely an explanation from reality is not a sensible thing to ask for.
Transcendent reality. So a transcendent reality compared to the universe is like two different things, right?
No, sure. Suppose that I grant that there's like some transcendent whatever, that there's like a metaphysical reality, whatever it might be. The point is that it wouldn't make sense to ask for an explanation of the sum total reality, right?
Oh, so you're saying it wouldn't even it wouldn't make sense to ask why that transcendent reality exists too?
Yeah, because explanations are things that exist within reality, right?
It depends on what you mean. So explanations, yes, obviously, of course, explanations exist within reality.
So then you can never have an explanation for reality.
But to say that just because we explain things within reality is not to say that reality itself cannot be explained. That doesn't follow.
Okay, so what would be a candidate explanation for reality? Whatever you think of, whatever you make of reality, whatever the sum total of reality is, if you think that there's like some transcendental stuff, if you think that it's just physical, whatever it might be, what would a candidate explanation look like?
So I guess the best explanation, like I said, would just be the Kalam.
No, I'm asking for an explanation of why reality exists, the sum total of reality.
Yeah, Kalam. Oh, you're talking about even if it's a transcendent reality?
Yeah, even if there's a transcendent, like the sum total of whatever you think the sum total of reality is.
Well, that would just be a category error.
That's what I'm saying. That it doesn't make sense to talk about an explanation for reality.
For the transcendent reality, that would be a category error.
Why?
The universe.
Wait, hold on. So this is just a question of scope. If it is the case that the universe is everything, then it doesn't make sense to ask for an explanation of the universe.
No, that's not my worldview. That's your worldview.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is that if your worldview is that the universe is indeed everything, then it's a category error. Like it's a failed internal critique to say that the universe needs an explanation.
No, you don't understand why I'm saying it's a category. So I'm saying it's a category error to say that a transcendent reality would require a cause.
We're not talking about cause. We're talking about explanation.
I mean, no, an explanation. Yeah, an explanation. My bad. You're asking that. I'm saying that's a category error because inside the universe's causes are ordinary, like physical, obviously, and because those are precisely the. So the thing I'm trying to tell you is processes operate like under like physical laws and stuff like inside the universe, but you can't. So we're not arguing. Well, I mean, I understand.
We're not talking about processes either. We're talking about explanations.
Actually, now I understand what you're trying to say. Now this makes sense. You're trying to. That makes sense, actually.
So, like, whatever the category of ontology that you think that there is, like, if ontology is just physical stuff, or maybe ontology is just mental stuff, or maybe ontology is physical stuff plus transcendent stuff, whatever it is.
But do you think that something immaterial would require an explanation?
Perhaps
like something that's not necessary. So, like, do you think? Well, okay. Well,
so
now
necessary things don't have explanations.
I have a very, very, very good thing to tell you. You're mind-boggling me so hard. Okay, so if everything needs an explanation, then that means that we would never actually reach a foundation, and then there would never be anything. So there needs to be something that's independent of all contingent things. That's why I'm telling you, everything cannot be contingent. There would have to be something. Well, if it can be brute, then why can't God be brute?
God could be brute.
Oh, okay. So, wait. Is it possible that God exists?
Like conceptually, sure. I can conceive of it.
Really?
Yeah. But we're talking about like, but I'm talking about like epistemological possibility here. I'm not talking about like
I think something changed.
Ontological possibility.
Like, you're different now. Like, I don't know what changed, but there's something very, very different. I just don't know what it is. There's some. I know something
changed.
I don't know. I might be just tripping. I don't know.
You might be tripping.
But I don't know. You're not from the last time I talked to you. I don't know, things aren't the same. Like, I could have swore the last time that we talked, you were more like pushing on the fact that the universe did not begin, that the universe is eternal.
Are you sure you didn't? Are you sure you're not thinking of Ian?
No. Well, I mean, No.
Because like I've been pretty consistent about being agnostic about whether or not the universe had a first moment for like years.
I don't know. Maybe I just misunderstood you then. I don't know. But I mean, I'm trying to understand. So, what do you think is the most plausible like explanation for like why the universe would be eternal?
I don't think that I don't like have a belief that the universe is eternal.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
didn't know that.
agnostic.
I
I'm
thought
pretty
that you
agnostic
just
about
thought.
it.
Okay, I thought that you thought that the universe was all that there is.
I do think that the universe is all that there is.
Okay, yeah, and I thought that I thought that you thought that the universe would be eternal because the universe. I thought that you thought that the universe cannot fail to exist.
No, I mean it, like conceptually at least
Okay,
the
so
universe could fail to
so
exist.
the thing is, if the universe can fail to exist, that would obviously mean that it's contingent,
Yes.
by definition and terms. So what I'm trying to say is that if the universe, okay, this is just going to bring us back to like philosophy. This is like the most basic question of philosophy. So if everything were contingent, then that doesn't explain why there's anything at all. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can obviously say everything that begins. I mean, everything doesn't always need a cause, but then that's just appealing to a brute fact.
Well, hold on. You keep confusing causes with explanations.
Well, explanation. Okay, so
Explanations. So causes are a kind of explanation. Causes,
okay,
at least as typically used, are temporal explanations.
The thing is, okay, so look, if the universe requires an explanation, is that explanation temporal?
Not necessarily. In fact, probably
Okay,
by definition.
So ontological dependence.
Well, no.
real?
So look. So if the universe, meaning like all of space-time, requires some sort of explanation, if it does, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it requires some sort of explanation, then it has to be an explanation that is outside of space-time. So it can't be temporal, it can't be spatial, at least not in the sense that we think of for our universe. Maybe there's like hyper time or something like that, where there's some like maybe our universe is explained in the simulator's time, and the simulator, like their time is passing by, and they turned on their simulation at a certain time on, in their universe, whatever it might be. But like the point is it just can't be an explanation that exists within our universe of that kind.
Yes. So I understand. So this is like, yeah, I haven't actually talked about it in a way like this in a while. So it's pretty simple, and I'm pretty sure that you already understand. But if everything were contingent, then there would be no ultimate explanation. If there's no ultimate explanation, then nothing ever really begins. And if nothing ever really
hold on,
begins,
that doesn't follow. Suppose there's no ultimate explanation. Why does that mean that nothing ever begins?
If there's no ultimate explanation, so if there isn't something that's okay, so if there's nothing that's ultimate and independent of all contingent beings, okay, then how can anything have an explanation at all?
No,
because things don't just pop into existence, right?
The claim is hold on.
Do things pop into existence from nothing?
Maybe universes do, but
maybe universes do. What's the argument for that?
I'm just saying it's like conceptually possible, right? I'm not making like some like I'm not making some super strong claim here.
The only way I can see that it would be possible for a universe to pop into existence, from a guy like yesterday, I think, what was it, like a wave function, Hamiltonian?
Sorry, what's the claim?
I think the only way that a universe would begin. So, wait, are you trying to say that a universe can pop into existence via like a wave function or like a Hamiltonian?
No, I'm saying that like there could have been nothing, and then in some like non-temporal sense, all of a sudden there was the universe.
There could have been. Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah, in some non-temporal bin sense, maybe there was nothing and then there was something. In some sort of non-temporal sense, whatever that might mean.
Okay.
But look, all I'm saying is that like, it's just because something doesn't have an explanation doesn't mean that it doesn't begin to exist, or that it can't begin to exist. Like I'm saying the universe's existence could be a brute fact.
I'm saying that things don't pop into existence. Okay,
the universe's existence could be a brute fact, right? It could be the kind of fact that it could have failed to exist, but it didn't, and there's no reason as to why it didn't. There's no explanation. It just didn't.
So what I'm trying to say is this is okay, what we're currently really talking about right now is philosophy, fundamentally, right? So what I'm trying to say is like I'm pretty sure you already you already understand like where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to say here.
Right, but it's mistaken. Like, just because something is contingent doesn't mean that it needs some sort of explanation for why it exists. If you think that that's true, then you're just asserting the strong PSR.
So, okay, so if something, okay. So you're saying if something is contingent, that doesn't automatically mean that it needs an explanation?
Right. Unless you accept the
Okay,
strong
so you're saying
PSR, it
that
just
things
doesn't
can just
follow.
begin to exist from nothing? Okay. So, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, okay? But have we ever observed something popping into existence from nothing?
Depends on
And if
what you
universe
mean.
can pop into
It depends on what you mean, but probably not.
Wait, let me just say something really fast. If universes can pop into existence from nothing, can you at least say it might be plausible that another universe would have just spawned into existence into our universe by now?
Well, no, I mean, our universe isn't nothing. So if universes do pop into existence from nothing...
No, I'm not saying that the universe is nothing. I'm saying that the universe can pop into existence from nothing.
Hear me out. So suppose like conceptually, maybe it's like far-fetched, but suppose that universes can pop into existence from nothing, right? That means that in order for a universe to pop into existence, there's got to be nothing. Now, our universe now exists, so there isn't nothing. So that means that even if universes can pop into existence from nothing, well, there's no nothing. So there's no nothing for another universe to pop into existence from.
Now there's no nothing, but that's already presupposing that something can pop into existence from nothing. Because now there's nothing, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
There's something, but that presupposes that something can come from nothing.
I'm not presupposing anything. It's a hypothetical. What I'm saying is, suppose that it's possible that things can pop into existence from nothing. It does not then follow that. Or suppose it's possible that universes can pop into existence from nothing. It does not then follow that another universe could pop into existence in our universe. That doesn't follow.
Okay, well, I can just say, suppose God is real. That doesn't actually give you.
Yeah, you could, and then we could examine that. My point is you made an incorrect conditional. Namely, you made the claim that, or you were inferring the claim that if universes can pop into existence from nothing, then it would be reasonable to think that a universe could just pop into existence within our universe. But that's false. It doesn't follow.
No, not even just that. I'm saying if things can pop, not even just that strictly. If things can pop into existence at all, why have we never observed something pop into existence from nothing ever then?
Well, because there's no nothing around.
Well, no. The thing you're not understanding is there is nothing.
Where?
Because if you're going to say that there's
Where's the nothing?
If you're gonna say if you're gonna say there's nothing, that implies nothing exists. Like that. What does that even mean?
So suppose in some state there was a state of affairs where there was nothing.
There could have never been nothing. I don't believe in nothing.
Okay, great. If you think that there could have never been nothing, then it follows necessarily that a universe must have existed in one shape or form.
No, that follows necessarily that something always had to exist.
Not always. Not always. That's using temporal language.
No, because no. You can you can say that, but that's not what I was doing. But I mean, I can see how you say that, but listen, to say that there can be nothing is to imply that nothing
Look,
exists.
It's actually my view
I don't think that nothing ever existed.
It's actually my view that like even though conceptually nothing could exist, even though we can like conceive of like emptiness, I don't think it's actually possible for there to be a nothing. Yeah, I think reality in one form or another is necessary.
I don't think that.
I think that reality in one form or another is necessary. Now, I don't know if it's necessary that our universe as it is necessary.
I don't think that the universe is all that there is. I think that there's something beyond it. And I think that existence itself is necessary. I don't think that the universe is existence itself.
Okay, I don't think that existence itself is even a thing. Existence is like it's a property. It's like a. I don't know what it means I don't know what existence itself is. Existence of what?
Okay, so existence, I guess it's not like a thing. Existence, okay, so look, it's very simple. So existence doesn't exist within existence. Existence is like existence. I don't really know how to explain it. But what I'm trying to say, you understand what I'm trying to say.
No.
Well,
no.
I'm saying that the universe isn't all, okay, let me just say it in a better way. Okay, the universe isn't all that there is. I think that something is beyond the universe, and I think that thing that's beyond the universe is fundamental for reality.
Okay, I think that some sort of physical existence is fundamental for reality.
I don't think that's the universe.
I said physical existence, some sort of physical stuff physical something.
Yeah, I don't think that that could be the universe, because if the universe is fundamental for reality, then that means that the universe always exists. And if the universe always existed, then we have to be at maximum entropy by now.
No, okay, look.
And just because global conservation of energy is not well defined,
it doesn't follow that just because the universe is necessary, that the universe extends into the past eternally. That doesn't follow.
okay, if the universe is necessary, by definition, that means that it cannot fail to exist. And if the
It
universe
means that
cannot
there
fail
was
to
never
exist,
a time where the universe didn't exist, I guess.
exactly. That
Yeah.
means that it never not existed. Exactly. That's literally what I just said. Is
Wait,
it
no,
not?
but there can still be a first moment of time, right?
Okay, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Okay,
So
if the universe is necessary,
that's what it means. If
Can
there's
the
a first
universe-
moment of time, then it's not eternal.
Okay, so if is the universe necessary?
I don't know. Maybe. I think that like some sort of
Okay.
physical reality
So
probably
let's say
is. But
let's say
I
the
don't think
universe
that
is
the universe,
necessary, right?
like,
Let's say the universe is necessary,
Sure.
right? Let's say the universe is the fundamental reality, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If the universe is the fundamental reality, can it fail to exist?
No.
Okay, so
If it's
does
necessary,
that mean
by
that
definition,
it doesn't
it-
have a beginning? Does that mean it doesn't have a beginning?
Does that mean it does? It could have a beginning. Yeah.
Okay, so something that cannot fail to exist cannot have a beginning, because that's just a
Something-
that's a
no,
what is
it
that?
doesn't follow.
Contradiction.
It doesn't follow because we're
No,
talking
that's
about
just
the
a
whole
contradiction.
space
If it cannot
time.
fail, no, listen, let me explain, okay?
Okay.
If it cannot fail to exist,
Uh-huh.
it cannot begin to exist.
So
That's just a contradiction.
when I say beginning, I'm just referring to a first moment of time.
Yes, that would imply
You can
that
have a
it
first moment of time and still have like a fully encapsulated space time that doesn't that is like that fully
well, no, I
encapsulated
would
space
say
time must
if you're gonna
is
imply a
necessary. It
first
must
moment,
exist.
I understand what you're saying, but if you're going to imply that there's a first moment, that follows that there's a beginning, and we're trying to say that
No,
there
it
isn't a
doesn't.
beginning. So if it's
If by beginning you
Okay,
mean like that there was nothing before it.
there's nothing prior, yes.
Yeah, no, okay. So it doesn't follow that a first moment means that there's nothing prior.
No, I'm saying, okay, if the universe is fundamental, right? And if it's fundamental, that means that it cannot fail to exist, okay?
Yep.
If it
Agree.
cannot fail to exist, okay, I understand what you're trying to say, but there is no before for it to exist, and because it is itself now, right? There's
Yeah.
no before.
Yeah, so there can
Right?
still be a first moment.
I'm not saying that there's an infinite amount of time going infinitely into the past. I'm just saying there was no beginning.
Well,
Right?
if by beginning you just mean that there was never nothing in some sort of
I'm
in
just
some
saying there
sense
was
prior
never,
to it, then
there
sure.
was never I'm saying there was never a prior state in which the universe did not exist.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yes.
I would
So-
agree with I would agree with the statement that there was never a state where the universe didn't exist.
And you're saying that it has a finite past.
That's at least possible. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, if the alternative is less rational, I'm pretty sure you already know why.
I don't even
the
know what you
alternative
mean
would
by
just-
the alternative here.
So the alternative would just have to be infinite past, would it not?
No, I think that they're both pretty reasonable.
Is there a third option, or is that just like a false dilemma? Like
I mean, yeah, sort of. There is kind of a third option. You could have like a non-trivial topology of time. So you could have just a finite past. You could have an eternal past, and then you could have a path that loops back onto the future.
Okay. So, well, I'm just saying that, like, well, I mean, I don't really, well, I mean, to be honest, we're both just honestly giving our ideas. There's nothing for us, well, I mean, when it comes to you, there's nothing really for me to disagree with for you, because you're not really affirming anything. You're just giving us possibilities.
Well, but what I did give is I gave you reasons why I think that a creator is not reasonable to believe in. So I'm not sure.
But you do
it didn't
understand
sound like
that
you
all
addressed those.
possibilities, you do understand that all possibilities aren't equally valid, though, right?
Sure.
Okay, so like I said earlier, what best explains reality? The origin of the universe?
Whatever it is, it's definitely not a creator.
Okay, so there's finite, okay. Yeah, so you talked about, what was it? You said, okay, you talked about Occam's razor. You say a creator isn't needed because there's no unexplained data, but the universe's existence is itself the data. So why is there something rather than nothing? That's not a small gap. It's the biggest question there is.
But see, and we've been over this again, so we might just have to call it here. But I'll just summarize. The point is if the universe is indeed all there is, which is all we have data for, by the way, then there is
Yeah, but a
nothing
brute
that
fact
can
universe has no
explain the universe.
explanation. Yes, I understand. I was going to finish and say a brute fact universe has no explanation, which is intellectually unsatisfying, and classical theism provides an explanation. I provide an explanation.
Well, right. But
all
so
I'm
all you're doing is pushing the buck back. Why does the transcendental universe exist rather than not exist.
That's a category error.
And I could say it's a category error to ask why the universe exists rather than not.
So, like I've already said,
it's the same issue.
If everything needs an explanation, then nothing ever really begins.
Okay,
This is the
I
same
agree.
argument
Not
for an
everything
infinite
needs.
past on a
I
universe.
agree that not everything needs
Everything
an explanation.
cannot be contingent.
I agree. So I agree that rejecting the strong PSR is reasonable. And so I just say that, look, it is if indeed, so all the data that we have is the physical universe, right? That's all the data that we have. It's like the stuff. And so it is reasonable to conclude that that is indeed everything. And if that is indeed everything, then it follows that there is no explanation for that everything.
So let me just say this. So you said earlier that there's no reason to buy into the view. So let me just finish what I'm about to say. But you haven't offered a better explanation for why contingent, finite, past, boundary reality exists at all. And saying we don't know is honest, but it's not a refutation.
I'm not saying we don't know.
Just let me finish.
I'm not saying we don't know.
Classical
It's a straw
theism
man.
gives an answer, and if you reject it, the burden is on you to explain why brute contingency is more rational than a necessary cause. So the universe is not necessary, and I'm going to argue that it's not. It's contingent, and I can argue that. And I think that you've already said that it's not necessary.
I'm saying that I'm not committed to either one. Like, it could be necessary, it could be brutally contingent. Either one's
okay. Like
plausible.
I said, if it is necessary, then that means that it never began to exist. And,
I've already established that beginning to exist is not the same thing as being as not the same thing as being past
no
eternal.
explanation for why it exists.
Look.
So if the universe has no
trying to make an
explanation for why it
internal
exists, then it
critique,
never began.
if you're trying to make an internal critique and say it's not satisfactory, then you have to buy into the internal world or the worldview, which is that the universe is indeed everything. And if the universe is indeed everything, then there is no sense in asking what is the explanation for the universe. So like the internal critique fails. If you want to make an external critique and you say, oh, well, you know, the universe isn't everything, well, now you have to, why should anybody accept that there's anything beyond just this universe that we live in?
So you're saying why should anybody accept there's anything outside of the universe?
Yeah. We have no data at all that supports that.
Okay. So if the universe, okay. So let me just make sure like we're both on the same understanding. So if the universe never failed to exist, do you think it's plausible to at least say that we can't actually know how long it's existed for?
If the universe never failed to, no, the universe could have a finite.
Because our physics breaks down, but doesn't mean that we.
The universe could have a finite past, and still never failed to exist. It could be that the universe is necessary and still have a finite past.
Okay, and you're saying like what explains the transcendent reality?
I'm saying, why would anyone ever believe that there is anything beyond the universe at all?
Yeah, I understand. So it's pretty easily explained. I really, so because the universe itself, how can I explain? So the universe itself, space-time, matter, energy began to exist, and I'm going to explain why now.
So, okay,
so
suppose you just grant
past,
that. Suppose you just, well, when you say began to exist, do you mean finite past, or do you mean that there was a state where nothing existed?
Past.
Or
finite
there was a
past.
state where there was a state of affairs where the universe didn't exist. Okay, so if you just mean finite past, I can grant that.
Okay, so we'll just say this, okay? So space-time, matter, energy began to exist, finite past, second law, BGB theorem. If the universe began, its cause cannot be part of the universe. That's what transcendent means, not subject to space-time or matter. Let me just finish. So the inference is not so it's from the nature of causation. So whatever causes the beginning of space-time cannot itself be within space-time. That's just like logical necessity.
Yeah, so it's... I don't know what you're not picking
if
up.
The universe is
I don't know what you're picking up, but the universe could be necessary.
The thing you're not understanding is if
have a
space, time, and
beginning,
matter has a finite
first moment.
past, then that means it has not existed eternally. That means it's not fundamental, and if it's not fundamental, that means it could fail to exist.
No,
and if
no,
it can fail to exist,
can be fundamental
that
and
means
still
that there
have a
has to be an
finite past.
explanation for. Look, listen.
It can be fundamental and have a finite past. Like, you're just confused.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me just explain this really quick, okay? If the universe has a finite past, okay, it has a finite past, correct? So
yeah,
there was
meaning that there's a first
state.
moment. No, it doesn't
Okay,
mean that there's no prior
so there was
state.
no prior state in which it did not exist prior, right? There is no prior state. There was no before, right? Because time didn't exist before.
So look, we have to be a little bit careful here. What I'm saying is that it's possible for there to be a finite past, meaning there is a t equals 0 and there's no time before that. There's the first moment. And yet there are no states of affairs. The There's no state of affairs where the universe doesn't exist. Of all of the state of affairs that make up reality, none of them don't include a universe.
So I'm just like trying to explain to you how if the universe has a finite past, because I feel like we're really about to get to where I feel like we're getting somewhere right now. So if the universe does have a finite past, I'm trying to explain how if it does have a finite past, then that would necessarily mean that it can't be fundamental. So listen, so you're saying that the universe could be finite in the past and still be fundamental, meaning it doesn't require anything outside itself to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you're saying that finitude alone doesn't automatically imply contingency or dependence, right? And that's fair, right?
Yeah.
So let me clarify my position, okay?
Sure.
So the Kalam doesn't argue that finitude alone proves a cause. It argues that beginning to exist does, and beginning to exist means there was a state of affairs where the universe did not exist, followed by a state where it does exist. So,
Yeah. And why should I? Why should I accept that? Why should I accept that there's ever a state of that? Among all of the states of affairs of reality,
So what about
that
in
any
B
of
theory
them
terms,
don't
finite
include a
path
universe?
boundary? What'd you say?
Why should I think that that among all of the state of affairs that describe the universe or that describe reality, that any of them don't include a universe? Why should I think that?
Why should you think that any of the state of affairs don't include? Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your
Why
question.
should I think that there is at least one state of affairs that's, okay, look,
one
we
state of
take
affairs. Why should you think that there's one
hold
state
on,
of
I'll explain.
affairs?
So we have reality. Reality can be described as like a collection of states of affairs that are perhaps different from one another, right? And we call those state, like, it depends on what your view on time is, but regardless, you have a collection of states of affairs. In at least some of them, there's a universe, right? Surely we agree on that. Why should I think that there are any
no,
of
I
them?
don't agree that universes can pop into existence from nothing.
That's not. I didn't say that. You agree
Well,
that in at least one of the states of affairs.
Wait, but if there's always going to be a state of affairs where there's a universe,
I didn't say that either. Listen.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Your brain is leaking out of your fucking hair. So we have a whole bunch of states of affairs that describe reality. This is true on your view. It's true on my view. It's how we talk about reality, right? There's just like a way that the reality is in a certain configuration, right? Some of those, at least one of those states of affairs, includes the universe because we exist, and this is we exist in a state of affairs, right? So at least one of those states of affairs in this collection of states of affairs includes the universe. Now, what I'm asking is, why should I think that any of the states of affairs don't include a universe?
Oh, okay. So you're saying, why should you think that any of the states of affairs don't include a universe?
Right.
Okay, so I feel like this is just kind of circular. So yeah, I'm saying, okay, so let me just make sure, let me clarify that I'm understanding what you're saying entirely. So you're saying we have a collection of states of affairs that describe reality, and at least one of them includes the universe.
Yep.
And namely, and you're saying the actual, okay, I understand. So you're saying, why should I think there's any state of affairs that doesn't include a universe?
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, why I think the universe could have not existed?
Yeah.
Could not have existed. Okay. So because if the universe couldn't have
just a quick question. I'm not saying why could the universe have not existed. What I'm asking is, why do you think that one of the states of affairs indeed does not include the universe? Namely that not just that it could have not existed, but that it indeed didn't exist in one of the states of affairs.
Okay. So you're saying, why should anybody think one of the states of affairs doesn't include the universe?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying, why should I think there's any state of affairs that doesn't include a universe?
Yeah, in actual reality. Like, there's possible realities where maybe there isn't maybe there's a possible reality where nothing exists. Maybe there's a possible reality where like 100 universes exist, whatever. But in the actual reality,
Yeah, that's the same thing as
in the actual
what I just
reality.
said.
I'm
So in
asking,
other words, it's just why I think the universe could not exist.
so in the actual reality, though, you're making the claim that one of the states of affairs that is part of actual reality doesn't include a universe. At least one. It's the one where God kind of exists without the universe.
Okay, so if the universe couldn't have failed to exist, if every possible state of affairs includes a universe, then the universe is necessary and not contingent. And if it's necessary, the Kalam's premise that the universe began to exist doesn't automatically give you a cause in the same way. So let me respond to that. So we can conceive we can conceive of no universe. That doesn't prove metaphysical possibility, but it shifts the burden. If you think a universe must exist in every possible state of affairs, you need to explain why, because it's a strong claim. Also, the universe has contingent features. It could have had different physical constants, right? Different laws,
maybe
different initial conditions, and if those features could be different, then the universe as a whole could be different, which that's just not necessary.
Well, hold on.
Even if the universe is necessary in some broad logical sense, that doesn't give us an explanation why these laws and why this finitude and necessary universe is just a brute fact dressed in model clothing.
Well, just to be clear, suppose that the universe is necessary in a broad sense, that namely that there has to be some kind of universe. Maybe
do you think it's impossible for there to be no physical universe?
Why? Maybe it's the case.
Oh, you're confusing me.
Okay, so maybe it's the case. So, for the sake of argument, hypothetically, suppose that the universe broadly, that a universe must exist, some sort of physical universe must exist. It doesn't therefore follow that this universe is the one that exists, and maybe there's some deeper explanation as to why it's this universe specifically, rather than some other different universe with different physical laws, or maybe there's not an explanation and that's a brute fact that it was this universe specifically rather than some other universe. But the question of whether or not a universe had to exist at all, that's separate from why the universe is this kind of universe rather than some other kind of possible universe.
Oh, okay. So basically, let me just make sure. You're asking, You're saying why the universe is this kind of universe rather than some other kind of possible universe?
What I'm saying is that's a separate question, right? We're currently investigating why there's a physical universe at all. Whether or not that's the kind of thing that needs an explanation, whether a physical universe could ever have failed to exist, that's the question that we're getting at.
So you're saying why the universe, why this universe, wait.
Not why this universe, why a universe.
Yeah, why a universe at all rather than no universe.
Right.
Okay. So it's just existence versus non-existence of any physical reality.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, there doesn't seem to be any better reason to think that physical reality could have failed to exist than there does to think that physical reality could have not failed to exist.
I don't want to straw man you, but you seem to be suggesting that maybe a universe, like some universe, is necessary.
Yeah, maybe that is the case. Like, look, I'm not like committed to that view, but that at least seems like plausible.
Okay, that is okay. So you're saying like it's impossible for there to be no physical reality whatsoever, though, right? Only the specific features are contingent.
Well, so to be clear, my worldview is more like I don't think it's possible for nothing to exist. And as far as I'm concerned, the only things that can exist are physical things. Therefore, it would follow that there must be some sort of physical reality.
Okay, so only physical things. There always has to be something physical, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so always something physical has to.
But look, I could be wrong about that. So what I'm asking is, on what grounds do we have for thinking that there could have been no physical thing? Or rather that there was no physical thing at some point in one of the states of affairs.
So why think that there couldn't have been something that was non-physical, like immaterial?
Well, so look, so if I'm understanding your worldview correctly, it's something like there's the physical universe, and then kind of on top of that, there's like the metaphysical or the transcendental universe, right? Or the transcendental reality, right? Mm-hmm. And so in your worldview, the transcendental reality, that's always there. It can't fail to exist, the transcendental reality. But there was a state of affairs where there was only transcendental stuff and there wasn't physical stuff.
Universe,
and so what I'm at, so that would correspond to a state of affairs where there is no physical reality. And so all I'm asking is, on what grounds do we have for thinking that there could ever be no physical reality? That's like a valid state of, or like a valid state of affairs that describes the reality that we live in.
So is a null state of affairs like absolutely nothing, no space, no time, no matter, no laws, no minds, genuinely impossible?
I mean, I think that that's reasonable, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, it is reasonable, and I'm not saying that, I agree with that. I'm saying, you know, most philosophers thinks it's logically possible, and nothing about the laws of logic forbids it, you know? So to claim it's metaphysically impossible, you need an argument.
Wait, hold on. So then, look, I mean, like I can just grant that, like, I just have this intuition that just says this and I don't have a good argument for it. But if you're saying that that's like a logical possibility, then then that means that the transcendental reality could have failed to exist logically.
No, I'm not saying, I'm just going along with the possibilities here, right? We're just going with the possibility. I don't.
Yeah, like logically,
that...
like surely you agree logically God could not exist. Like there's no contradiction that you derive if you say that God doesn't exist. Like it's just not.
Well, I mean, no. Under the evidence in the worldview, I wouldn't. I mean,
no,
I wouldn't want to admit that it's logically possible for God not to exist, obviously. But obviously,
but logical possibility, logical possibility is just like really weak. Like it's logically.
Obviously, it's logically possible. It's not logically impossible, obviously.
Right.
There's no contradiction.
So all I'm saying is that, like, yeah, it's like logical. Like maybe you can make an argument, or maybe you can
the contradiction would be like, well, like I said earlier, it's the same thing. Actually, I want to backtrack on that. I don't think that everything can be contingent. I think that something would have to be necessary, and either which way you put it, that necessary being would necessarily just be God. I don't think that the universe is necessary. We have to tie down something necessary. What is necessary?
I don't think that.
What is the okay? Let me ask you this: what's the ultimate reality?
I don't even think it follows that there has to be a necessary thing.
Okay, well, what's the ultimate reality for you? I should have asked it a long time ago.
Well, I think that physical reality is all that there is. So whatever physical reality is, whatever it is at the bottom, I think that that's ultimate reality, whatever it might be.
Okay, so I'm just
there is a bottom. Maybe there's not a bottom.
Like, so is that implying like a universe, or is just like physical things, like in general?
So I mean, insofar as like maybe
what does physical reality mean to you?
So
what does that even mean?
I mean, when I think of physical reality, I think of a universe. But like, it could be that that's like that the way that I think of a universe is sort of illusory, and that there's something kind of deeper. Like maybe there's like a wave function is what, like, you know, it's one view is that like the wave function is all there is, and that's like a physical thing. And you know, the universe emerges from it.
So yeah, this is what I was trying to say earlier. I feel like you want to really,
but like there could be other kind of confused things.
This is what I was trying to say. I feel like you're trying to say that like it's the wave function. I'm not sure if that's what you're trying. That's
look,
what it sounds like you're appealing to.
Matthew, I was giving you that as an example, just as like a way that you can have a physical reality without having a universe, right? Now, I don't know if that's it's not my position that is what physical reality is, that it's just the wave function. I mean, like, I think that probably like quantum mechanics is fundamental, but let me rephrase. I think that quantum mechanics is probably true. I don't know if it's fundamental. I don't know if like the wave function is like the bottom of reality or if there's something deeper. I don't know if like, you know, maybe like I could be wrong and there's just some other physical thing that's not the wave function, maybe like Copenhagen interpretations or whatever it might be. But all I'm saying is that like, there's some way of just talking about a physical reality. It might just be in the normal way that we talk about universes. There might be something deeper, though, that we would still call physical.
Yeah.
But look, Matthew, you've now been on for over an hour.
I know.
I should probably let you go.
Let me just say this one more thing, and then I
ahead.
promise.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we've been stuck on this. You know, we've been going in circles a little bit. So let me just say this one thing real quick. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to say it's logically impossible for physical reality to be fundamental. So if physically, it's you know, it's a coherent position, okay? But we need to ask which position is better supported, right? So if physical reality is fundamental, then it's either past eternal or it began to exist finitely. If past eternal, you face entropy problem in BGB theorem. If it began finitely, then you have a finite physical reality that just popped into being from nothing. Like I've already said, I don't believe that things can pop into existence from nothing. I think that something needs to be necessary. Since there's nothing non-physical to cause it, that's metaphysically... Listen. If it began finitely, okay, then you have a finite physical reality that just popped into being from nothing. Okay. Just let me finish. Since there's nothing non-physical to cause it, that's metaphysically problematic. So saying physical reality is fundamental doesn't explain why it exists, why it has the laws it does, or why it's finitely past bounded. It just labels the mystery. Listen, okay? All I'm saying is... Listen.
Okay.
I've been listening.
I haven't been talking. I've been listening. the confusion
Okay,
is the
But
confusion.
your view says
stems-
physical reality just is, no further explanation. I'm
Right,
asking
if
why is
physical-
that more reasonable?
If
than the
physical
theistic
reality is
explanation?
all there is, then it doesn't need an explanation.
Why is that more reasonable than a theistic explanation?
Because we know that physical reality at least exists, right?
yeah, but saying
and
it just
so-
is, no further explanation is not.
Look,
that's
we're,
not-
we're going to end up at regardless of what your worldview is, at some point you end up at some place where there just is no further explanation, maybe because explanation isn't needed, or maybe because no explanation exists, period. The point is we will end up somewhere, wherever your worldview terminates, with something that doesn't have an explanation. And so all I'm saying is, if you take this worldview that all that there is physical stuff, is a universe, then there is no deeper explanation, because an explanation would have to be outside of the thing that you're trying to explain, and there's nothing outside of the thing. So whether we're in your worldview or in my worldview, in both cases we terminate at something that doesn't need an explanation.
Wait, I think I found the key. Okay, wait.
All right, make it quick, and
If
then I'm
there's
gonna let you
nothing
go.
outside of it, does that mean that it's isolated? No?
Shut up, Matthew. You're done. We had a long conversation of what it means for a system to be isolated a long time ago. Matthew, by the way, you're going on YouTube. I know that you were trying your best, but you're going on YouTube. Sorry. And let's read some super chats. We have a lot, so thank you guys so much. From Pensive with the $20. It's good to have you back, Doctor. Well, I appreciate it. It's good to be back. From Gretchen with the $5. Flat Earth might really be dead. They even lost Free, for fucking sake. RBI PhD. Wait, so is Free no longer a flat earther? That's huge. From Super Pizza with the $2. Do you ever get tired of these same arguments? Honestly, not really. From Miko Makopo with the 5 gifted Dr. Blitz Debunks gift memberships. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, I've been gone, so I haven't been shilling this, but if you guys want to support me for in a relatively cheap way that gives me consistency, gives me peace of mind, the best way to do it is through either Patreon memberships, Twitch subscriptions, TikTok, fan club, super fans, or YouTube memberships. These are like roughly $5 a month. And they give me peace of mind because they give me consistency. And you also get some perks. You get access to a members only channel on Discord. And you also get access to my debate notes, which have a lot of these arguments that you just heard. A lot of them are in those debate notes for you to peruse on your own free time. So it's a great way to support me, and Miko Makopo is wildly generous for giving 5 random people some gift memberships. So thank you so much. From L'Oreal with the $20, thank you so much, as always. Good to see you. For days, the people wandered the Discord, awaiting the return of the promised one. The faithful rejoice. The second coming of Blitz is at hand. Welcome back. I appreciate that. That's funny. From Rodblow Alraz with the 200 Mexican dollar dues, which I think is like $20 or something. My take, if majority of humanity didn't focus its desires and intentions on an afterlife, evolution could possibly provide the longevity, limitless replenishment, and overall potential that it inspires us right here. Yeah, that's probably true, actually. I mean, if people focus less on the afterlife than we would focus more on right now, which might be helpful. From Mindos with the €2. I hope you had a good vacation. Welcome back. So I'd love to say that I did. The only downside is that I was sick for basically all of it. I still had a good time, but I was sick for basically all of it. From Gretchen with the $3, Mediterranean cats are greater than Matthew. End this, please. I did, sorry. From Dr. Fudge with the $5, I think you're arguing with ChatGPT right now, to be honest. I'm not sure. I think that he tries to be an honest interlocutor. I'm not sure if he actually is using ChatGPT, it's hard to say. From Flunk Waffle with the £2, Blitz casts confusion. It's super effective. Apparently I did. From Jack with the $5, I feel like a cat trying to operate a leaf blower. Is there any universe where I understand the last 30 minutes? Maybe not, but you could go rewatch the video or the playthrough on YouTube. From Kelly Scherer with the $5, it's just a kind $5 donation, which is very much appreciated. From Curtis with the $2, I'm broke, but you look beautiful today. Well, I appreciate that. That's very generous, very kind of you. And from Pat in the chat, we're so back. Welcome back, Blitz. We are indeed back. And from Gretchen with our final super chat for now with the $3.11. It's true, Free is down with Globe now because math. Really? That's shocking. I'm very surprised, and I think that that's amazing. I'm just going to double check for some cash apps and things like that, and then we will move on to our next guest. From Shay with the $100. Let's get a big old W for Shay in the chat. I'm so glad you're back, which is very much appreciated. And then from Rob with the $2 for welcome back. Well, thank you. You guys are so generous. I appreciate you guys a lot. As always, it's very appreciated. Let me just check one more place. Okay, I think that we're good. So let's move on to our next guest. Let's talk to, I think Bubby's been waiting for quite a while.
Yeah, hello?
Hello, Bubby, how's it going?
Yeah, that last guess was insufferable, I'm not gonna lie.
Look, man, not for me to say. So, Bubby, do you think that the world was created?
Yeah, I do. I actually have an argument.
Yeah,
Some
sure,
may
go
see
ahead.
my argument as insufferable as well, but yeah, I am using like a moderate PSR, so I can just give the argument if you want formally.
Yeah, sure,
You
go
can, like,
ahead.
write out each
Let me open up a
Yeah,
notepad
so-
really quick.
Okay, yeah, just let me know when you're ready.
And I'll actually put it up on the screen as well, so then you can see what I'm seeing, and then
okay,
we can talk
cool.
about it. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, so I just need to put it on both, pull it up in both places. All right. Premise one, let's hear it.
Yeah, so the first premise is if no necessary thing is possible and a contingent thing is possible, then that possible contingent thing couldn't possibly have an external explanation.
Hold on. If no necessary thing is possible and a contingent thing is possible, then
That possible contingent thing could not possibly have an external explanation.
okay.
Yeah, premise 2 is just that a contingent thing is possible, and that possible contingent thing could have an external explanation.
Possible contingent thing could have a
An external explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, and then premise 3 is just that a necessary thing is either impossible or necessary.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's premise 3.
Yeah.
It's either impossible or necessary. Well,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
and then
it's more that a necessary
yeah,
thing is necessary by definition. A thing that is not contingent
we're
is either
gonna get to
necessary
that,
or,
right?
or
Because-
impossible.
Yeah, because I'm not using S5, so we're going to get to that. But the first conclusion is just that some necessary thing is possible. And then the second conclusion is just that some necessary thing is necessary. Now, to address the point that you raised, right? So I'm not saying that it's possibly necessary that a necessary thing is necessary, or that it's necessarily possible that a necessary thing is necessary. Instead, I'm just using counterfactual dependency to say, like, for any world X, right, of the set of all contingent worlds, the necessary being exists in all the worlds such that if it didn't exist, the world would fail to obtain. So the
Sure.
being is going to explain all of the possible worlds through counterfactual dependence. And that would be the explanation. So yeah, that's just to address that.
Just to be clear, it seems like that. Are you only using modal modal possibility, like the modal sense of possibility here, or are you using like some sort of counterfactual sense of possibility, or what are you using?
Yeah, we're using a counterfactual like account of dependence to build up the semantics for the primary and
Account of
secondary
dependence.
intention. Yeah, we're using a counterfactual account of dependence to build up the semantics for the primary and secondary intentions of the necessity and possibility operators. So just to be clear, we're
Yeah, okay,
using the
no, that's
necessity.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so
okay.
can you just to flag for the chat, can you demonstrate that you understand what the primary and secondary intentions of the
Well, I
necessity
don't know what the primary and
operators?
secondary intentions are, but the way that I understand what an intention is, it's just like an intrinsic definition rather than providing definition by example, essentially. And so what you're doing is you're giving some sort of account for what it means for a thing to be possible, what it means for a thing to be necessary, using counterfactuals. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's actually going to be wrong. So it's a blunder on your end, which is fine. I can explain it for you. Yeah, so when we're talking about the
Okay.
prime.
We're not going to start our conversation that way. Okay, let's move on to our next guest. It may have been Clark. It may absolutely have been Clark. I don't know. I don't know what Clark sounds like. Yeah, I mean, but like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's a Clark thing to say. Like, that's a blunder though. Like, just to out the gate do that. From Tim Davidson with the $5, there were two types of people in the world. One, those that can extrapolate from incomplete data. I see what you did there. That is funny though. All right, let's talk to Zeno. Zeno, how's it going?
Sorry, I'm good. I'm just laughing from the.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
So Zeno, do you believe that the world was created?
Yeah, I'm a Christian. This isn't really a debate. I'm not. I haven't like studied too much the cosmological argument recently. I've just been studying mathematics, but
Mhm.
it's more of a question trying to examine your position. Um, so I talked to Graham Oppie a few days ago about this.
Lit.
But basically, like,
Did you
what's
just
up?
email him? Like,
Oh, yeah.
how do you talk to Graham Oppie about something just on the random?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you remember. I was in your other lives. I was asking about like physics or math or philosophy, whatever. And I emailed him the same question.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
there were some other things. Yeah, because I Alex Bruce is in Texas, and I talked to him a while back, and he gave me some questions to ask Oppie, and then I emailed Oppie, and we set up a Zoom meeting, and
Well, that's fun.
yeah, we talked for a little bit. Yeah, it was really cool. He's super super nice. But anyway, yeah. So I was listening, and you sound like you say, okay, well, we need to have a first cause or some sort of fundamental physical reality that could be outside of time, could be outside of space, whatever. Uh, my question: why do you reject that fact as being God? Like it sounds to me like you're getting close to God, but you don't want to commit to those extra things like all loving, whatever, whatever. Uh, so why is that? Why prefer
Oh,
this?
well, I'm not
Other
convinced that
abstract
there
being.
is stuff outside of physical reality.
Okay, okay. So okay, maybe okay. Yeah, 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 I see what you're saying. Um, but if you say it has to be outside of space, has to be outside of time, as far as we know, that is out of physical reality,
Well, yeah,
no?
yeah.
Or am I?
So I'm putting myself in the theist's headset, the theist's mind space, right? Like, if it's the
Okay,
case that there is like a god, a creator, then it must be outside of space and time, right?
right.
Now, I don't think that such a thing exists, but like, if such a thing did exist, then it seems like that there's some problems. So that's one of the
Okay.
reasons why I think that such a thing doesn't exist.
So your physical reality would be like some. Okay, that makes sense. That would just be like some Schrodinger equation adjacent type thing that you may not
Whatever
know. But
physics bottoms out at. Maybe it's quantum
right.
mechanics at the end of the day. Maybe it's something deeper. Who knows?
Okay, okay. That's kind of what I was, because I thought you were saying that, oh, I believe fundamental reality is outside space and time, and I was going to say, okay, well, why not just call that God at that point?
Well,
I see what
so
I see what you were.
I think that there are ways that you can hold that view and be reasonable and not call it God, because when we think about God, we usually think about like some sort of agent, like a thing that has a will, perhaps, or has thoughts or takes actions, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
And so, like, you could imagine that there's like some like Platonic realm, right, where like abstract objects exist, and it's just like the numbers live there. That's where all of the numbers are. And every time we think of a number, we're really just thinking of that thing that exists in abstract space. Now, the thing is the kind of definitionally, abstract objects are inert. They don't do anything. So, like, even if you believed that those abstract objects exist, they wouldn't have the necessary features to have a mind, to have thoughts, to have a will, to take actions, right? Because these are things that don't do anything. So I think that you could even reasonably be like a Platonist of some kind while still reasonably rejecting some sort of divine creator.
Right. In this case, the theist, or well, at least my point of view, the reason I grant a property such as like can instantiate necessary facts, whatever godlike properties, the reason I instantiate that is just due to like some on the ontology. To me, at least, it makes things make more sense. Like I know that's very hand wavy, but like what I mean by that is you can give a multitude of arguments there. You could give like beauty, for example. You can give mind. You could give a maybe there is an what I'm trying to get at is maybe there is an abstract mind. Call this God. Yes, it would be the only one in our universe, but I think the fact that there's barriers in between, reductionism and this sort of ontological abstract mind thing. I think the fact that there is barriers, I think granting this abstract mind gives explanation as to, well, there is a soul, maybe there is, and the reason we can't ever get to it here in this physical world is because, well, we're just looking in the wrong place. Maybe it does exist, and things do make more sense in this, abstract and wavy godlike thing. which I call God, but
I mean, like,
yeah.
look, I agree that there are gaps in our knowledge. Like, we don't,
Right.
we probably don't even have a good definition of what consciousness is. It's probably, like, we probably just don't have a good way to define it in a way that means what we want it to mean. And because we don't even have a good definition yet, I suspect that there's not even a chance in hell that we could have a good explanation if we don't even know what it is we're trying to explain. So that's like, there's absolutely a gap there, but it's not clear to me that that gap is A, insurmountable, and B, requires an agent that's responsible for it. I did take issue, by the way, with something that you said, like that there is this thing that can instantiate necessary facts. Insofar as it means anything for facts to exist, I don't know how you could instantiate a necessary fact.
Yeah, so I guess to quote the last guest, that was a blunder on my end.
Blunder, LU,
Right.
L-Zeno,
Yeah.
Zeno lost.
Yeah, blunder on my end. What I meant by that was just more so like create this possible world, for example. Like that was more what I meant by that. I misspoke. I'm not very good with all the philosophy.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. So like,
Apologize for that.
like look. So, and we can probably just have some degree of agreement here. Like, yeah, there are things that are currently and perhaps will forever be unexplained. Things like what consciousness is and why it exists, and you know, like what is fundamental and why that fundamental thing exists. Like maybe these are things that are unexplained right now, and maybe there are things that will forever be unexplained via physical worldview. But the point is, it's just not clear to me that a thing being unexplained now gives us a good reason to think that in fact actually it is explained. It's just this other thing that we have no other reason to think exists. We don't really have any, like, and I don't want to say, like, I don't mean no other reason, like there's no arguments or anything. What I mean is that, like, we have all this data of the world around us. The world is a certain way. You know, there's like chairs and packs of gum and scissors.
We can reduce these things.
No, I'm not talking about reductionism. I'm just saying, like there is physical stuff. Surely we can agree that physical stuff exists. Like it's all, like, it's all we ever encounter. Why should we think that there's something more than that? If all of our data just says that the physical stuff is the stuff that exists, that's like, there's no data. It seems like that there's not really any data that says there's anything beyond the physical, and all of the data says that everything is physical.
Right, and this is kind of what I've talked to Bruce and Oppie about, is that for personal reasons, I say, like, okay, well, maybe it just is in the nature of something like a godlike being for it to be that way. And I know that's very, like, again, that's very, like, this I personally have to, you know, because as far as I know, I can't really find good defenses for this argument anywhere. But what I say is, okay, this is just going to have to be due to the nature of it, due to the fact that you can't, quote unquote, prove or unprove this godlike being. Maybe it is just a matter of that human aspect. Maybe that is what, you know, separates us, and that's just something that I can't really, like, prove.
So look, I'm on board. Like, it could be the case that there is some external, there is some, like, transcendent or metaphysical reality where, like, numbers exist and also God exists, and, like, you know, these things exist, and there's just, like, just the nature of these things is that you can never show that they exist from within physical reality. Like, maybe that's just the case. It just seems like that this is the kind of thing that if it could influence our world, then we should be able to show that it exists, right? Because, like, you know, it would be present, and or it would have some sort of effect that is non-physical. And so then we would be able to, okay, there's this non-physical thing. On the other hand, maybe, but because we're saying that maybe it's possible that there is no way to figure it out, then that means that it doesn't affect our world, in which case it may as well not exist. I mean, maybe it does. Like, maybe there's, like, the metaphysical, I don't know, like, gleep glorp, and it just kind of exists separately from the rest of the universe and the rest of reality. It just exists. It does exist, but it doesn't do anything. Well, like, sure, but, like, it may as well not exist then, right?
Right, and then that's when we get into, like, okay, well, we do have, you know, mathematics to kind of aid us in that. You know, there's an argument. I forget where I saw it, but it was something about, like, infinity being of course, like if infinity doesn't mean God, I'm not saying that. It's just
Mhm.
the nature of, you know, our ability to interact with things that seem very abstract, such as infinity, such as whatever, like that could be some sort of, you know, parallel to how in some way, you know, God may. But again, this all has to be very tightened down on my end. Like I'm being very very loose here. Nothing's very like. But I do see your point, and I think we can agree that there's some sort of that there is a distinction there. But I just more so wanted to hear your reasons for not committing to that, you know, godlike being. To
Yeah,
help,
I mean,
like,
it,
sort of.
it essentially comes down to like, and just to summarize, and because you know people might not know my view, there are a lot of first there's kind of just like an inductive reasoning, right? It's like, look, we have all these experiences, we have all this data about the world around us, and you know the way the world works, and it just seems like a lot of these things point to the world being a certain way and against the world being a different way. Now that's not proof, of course. Like, you know, we have this experience that every single mind is always attached to a brain or is attached to a body of some kind, right? Now, it's not proof that indeed every mind is attached to a body, but it's at least some degree of evidence. And so that would rule out a metaphysical mind that doesn't have a physical body, right? If that were the case. Right. Now, this is evidence, not proof, but it's evidence. We also have all of this evidence that like every single thing that exists in our reality that, you know, we exist in has some sort of physical cause, if it has a cause at all, right? Like, you know, whenever anything happens, there's a physical cause for it, if there is a cause, right? It's never just a thing happens and then there's a metaphysical cause. It's not like 2 + 2 = 4 caused, you know, the water bottle to be knocked over or whatever. It's always like some physical thing. And so this gives us reason to think that, well, if it's the case that every single physical thing that exists, if it has a cause, it has a physical cause, well, then either the physical stuff doesn't have a cause, in which case we have no need for we have no explanatory reason to accept anything that would cause the physical stuff to exist, or the physical stuff just has causes going all the way back forever. And so it's these kinds of inductive reasonings that get me to the place where it's like, why would we ever accept this given all of this data that we have? That's roughly the argument. And then so that's one prong of why I think that it's the case that creationism is false. So we have all this inductive reasoning to think otherwise. The second reason is that I think that these are more kind of criticisms of the contrary view. It seems like in order to have a being like this exist, it has to have certain properties, and those properties seem to be kind of incoherent. Like, what does it mean for something to have a will if it doesn't exist in time? What does it mean for something to have agency if it doesn't exist in time? What does it mean for this thing to be simple but also have like contingent aspects to itself? What does it mean for it to be necessary but its will to be contingent? There's just a lot of strange incoherencies here that at least on their face seem to give problems for this view.
Right. So I'm kind of smiling because that second objection you had is exactly why I talked to Api, because these were issues I have within Christianity. Like, okay, you know, if I take naturalism, for example, like, yes, it gives me a safer or less what's the word I'm looking for? Less commitment.
Yeah.
It gives me less commitment, but what if, you know, theism does have good points? And then I went to him and I'm like, but, you know, theism has also these contradictions and issues that, you know, seem problematic. Again, I don't really, these are more personal things, but like, I don't really take that, okay, like, you know, maybe 2,000 years ago, these guys got it right in the desert. Like, these guys in the desert all got it perfect. Like, no, that's where I got suspicious.
Sure.
But anyway, that's a tangent. Back to the point. So yeah, basically what I'm hearing is like some sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I need to like research this stuff. So it's like some sort of Humean, like neo-Humean view. Like, okay, we have this empirical data from the, you know, observing physical reality, so, you know, therefore how can we since we have no interaction with this metaphysical being, metaphysical world, whatever you want to call it, we can't safely assume that, you know, this first causes that. Is that correct, or
it's sort of that combined with the arguments that I find compelling that kind of kill the contrary view, right? And, you know, obviously these arguments aren't going to be compelling for everybody. Like, you know, people are going to accept different premises, you know, because of their commitments for whatever reason. But, like, as far as I'm concerned, an agent is a thing that exists in time. It doesn't make sense to talk about an agent outside of time, because agents have wills and they take actions and they have thoughts, and these are all processes. Processes happen in time, and so...
Within time.
Yeah. And so, like, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't even make sense to say that God is an agent. And if God's not an agent, what does it mean for God to have a will that like, you know, he chose to create? All of these things are very, very unclear.
Problematic.
Yeah. And so like, it just seems that those arguments, at least for me, are compelling. And so given that I already have a predisposition to think that, look, this physical stuff is basically all we have from this kind of neo-Humean view, and that the alternative view seems to have these issues, it just seems like it's kind of obvious that it's the yeah, that's what it boils down to for me. It's kind of a two-sided thing.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, that's a very respectable position, and I mean, I think that it's strong. And would find, if I was, you know, a classical theist, like full on board, like full Thomist, I would definitely have a difficult time. That's pretty much all I had. I kind of wanted to just, you know, pick your brain on that, so I
sure.
could, you know, take it into consideration. But I appreciate your time, Dr. Blitz. Welcome back, by the way.
Thanks, and it was good to have you.
Yep.
Zeno's a good guy. He's thoughtful, and I appreciate the humility. So hold on, I got a tag on Jovan's. Okay. Sorry, I just had to take a look at somebody tagging at something. Sorry, I still have a cough. Didn't mean to do that. I should have muted first. So we currently have a little bit, like about an hour left before the end of the live stream, and yet we have no guests in the guest box. So if you think that the world was created, whether you think it was created 6,000 years ago or 13.8 billion years ago, whatever it might be, if you think that the world was created by a creator, then feel free to join the guest box. If you don't think that, Matthew, if you don't think that, don't join the guest box. Because I am looking for a debate here. I think we're good. So it seems like Matthew does think that. So let's bring up Matthew. Matthew, are you a creator now? Are you a creationist now?
I have a question tangentially related to the topic.
All right.
Specifically, the
all
idea
right, but
of
only because I like you.
developing with free will. I have a paper I've been developing over the last year that I've had reviewed by a couple of people with like master's degrees in philosophy and stuff like that. And I know philosophy isn't your like purview. You're the physics guy, not the philosophy guy, but you are aware of
dabble.
Like the dabbling in physics, of course, or philosophy, of course.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you would be interested in taking a look at it and giving me an opinion.
If it's short, I will. If it's long,
how short is short?
Less than 15 pages.
It's 14.
All right, DM me on Discord. I'm not gonna make any I'm not gonna make any promises.
If it's too wordy, you just tell me it's too wordy and don't worry about it.
All right, yeah,
and I'll be perfectly happy with that.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
I'll glance at it, and if it's interesting enough for me to keep reading, I will. Okay.
Awesome, I appreciate that. That's most I could ever ask.
All right, take care.
I appreciate you, man.
Matthew's a good guy. I haven't talked to them in a while because we kind of just both do our own thing on our own live streams. But Matthew's a good dude, good guy to follow. He's very, very thoughtful. If you don't like the debate bro stuff, like, look, I love Justin, I love Ian to death. They're great fellas, great buddies of mine. They are much more debate bro than I am. Like, I can get down in the mud, but I'm perhaps kinder, perhaps more charitable than either of them are. If you don't like the debate bro stuff, follow Matthew. Matthew is very similar. He engages in a very similar way that I do, very thoughtfully, very charitably. So yeah, if that's something that you care about, absolutely. Oh, hey, look, Bubby's back.
Yeah, I apologize for getting rhetorical on you, Dr. Blitz.
Do you recognize that you committed the blunder?
Sorry, just to be clear about this, are you going to respond to my argument? Go ahead.
Just to be clear about this, are you going to respond to the fact that you committed the blunder?
No, I actually did commit a blunder, sir.
Oh, okay, but you blundered by blundering, or by accusing me of blundering.
What's
you
the
recognize that was
argument
a
for
rhetorical
that?
blunder? It was a
What's the argument that I
meta-argumentation blunder.
blundered?
Oh, see,
What's the argument?
premise one, if one makes meta-argumentation too early in an argument, the argument fails. Premise two, you made meta-argumentation too early in an argument, therefore, conclusion, your argument fails.
Wait, that's not a conclusion that entails that I blundered, though. So that's
Oh,
another
no,
blunder.
but
Holy
it doesn't-
fucking
it
shit!
does show
Now
that
you
your argument
lost. Holy
fails.
fucking shit! You just blundered again. You're face down, ass up right now. I just spread
Oh,
your cheeks
no.
wide the fuck
Oh,
open and
no.
gave you back shots. So
Yep.
just to be clear about this, I just took my rhetorical.
Anyway, we didn't bring him up for seriousness. We didn't bring him up for a serious conversation. Bro committed the blunder. Obviously. Sorry, I definitely kicked you on accident. I apologize. I apologize, Bobby. Oh no, my finger slipped. All right. Let's be honest. Let's have a genuine conversation here.
Yeah,
All
I'd like to have a
Bobby,
good.
you want good faith, charitable conversation.
Yes, sir. Good faith, linear conversation.
Yeah, absolutely
Would you like
linear.
me to restart
Absolutely
the
linear. So, hey, actually, you want to check something out really neat? And this is just
Yes,
fun fact for
yes,
everybody. So
Daddy.
I have like a weird neurological thing that happens. Nobody knows why. But if I move one finger, my other finger moves a little bit. See that?
Yes, Daddy.
So like I'm moving this one. My left one's not moving on purpose. So like, see how I'm moving my finger? See how I'm moving my finger right now? It's making my right finger accidentally click. Oops. I didn't do it. I didn't do it on purpose. It just happens because my fingers just do that on their own. See that? My fingers just do that. It wasn't my fault. I was only moving my left finger, not my right finger. Okay, no, we're actually not going to do that. It was a good bit though. Yes, that is Bizarro Ian. True. No. So Pax, here's the thing. Those aren't Philbros that copy Ian's rhetoric. Ian got their rhetoric from the same place that the Philbros did. The Philbros got their rhetoric from Discord debate. That's how Discord debaters talk. They just don't recognize that makes them sound like deranged human beings. We have a super chat from Bathel with the $5. We're back. Indeed, we are back. Thank you so much. And we can bring up Kantbot. Kantbot, how's it going?
Remove me like a good little boy, Dr. Blitz. Do it now.
Okay.
Be a good boy.
Look, I'm not opposed to acquiescing to people's requests. And if that makes me a good boy, even better. Now be a
just
good
spread
boy,
your-
Compbot, and tell me to
I
be a
spread
good
your
boy and
cheeks
kick
wide
you.
open. I gave you back shots sounding like you.
It's so funny. It's such good content, though. Maybe you can't comprehend tag? If you want to come up and make tag argument, you can. Oh. By the way, this is not a disability. This thing is not a disability. This is like it's a thing that's usually like it's not very common. It doesn't negatively affect your life at all, so it's not a disability. It's just like people's brains are different, and so like my fingers are wired. Like there's a little, like the wires are a little bit crossed, and it happens actually with like my whole hand too. Like like it happens. Like it's just a very funny thing. Calling someone a Philbro is just a way to not admit your overall worldview is inconsistent. Oh, not really. No, a Philbro is a specific kind of person that uses a specific kind of jargon to try to get rhetorical wins. From MC Grail with the $5. I missed the joke part and started flicking my fingers. 10-10 for getting me to look like an absolute moron at work. I promise, I'm not making this up. This is a real thing. It's a real thing. That's like, maybe it has a name or something, but it's a real thing. Discord is the worst place on the internet to do debates. I agree with that. That's true. You don't feel disrespected he called you a good boy? No, I am a good boy. I'm good and a boy. Oh. And who am I to kink shame him, right? Let's talk to foreign laboratory staff. Foreign laboratory staff, how's it going?
Hello, Mr. Blitz.
Dr. Blitz.
Can I get your...
You're fine, you're fine. I'm trolling you.
Dr.
You're good.
Blitz. No, you have the title. You have earned it.
I know, but it's cringe to do that. Anyway, so do you believe that the world was created?
No, but I would like your opinion on the Epicurean paradox.
Yeah, I generally think that like there are like semantic ways to get out of it by saying like, oh, God is good. But like, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of like a semantic cop-out rather than like genuinely an actual confrontation of the problem that's being proposed.
I agree.
But look, if that's all you got, I'm gonna let you go.
Of course. Have a wonderful evening.
I'll do my best. Take care. All right, let's talk to Grippy Toes. Grippy Toes, how's it going?
What's up, what's up?
Not a whole lot. Grippy Toes, do you think that the world was created?
Yeah, from my limited understanding, yes.
Okay, why would you think so?
I reject paradoxes or impossibilities.
Okay.
So, to say that there was an infinite regress of natural causes, it doesn't really explain anything, because you still need to explain
why would we say that
why
there's
that
an
infinite.
Why does it follow that there must be an infinite regress of causes if indeed it's the case that there is not a creator?
Because that infinite set would still have to be explained.
No, I'm asking why must there be an infinite set of causes at all?
In a scenario where there's no creator,
Yeah.
that would be the logical possibility, right?
Can you walk me through the argument? Because I don't see how that's like a logical consequence.
Yeah, if there's no uncaused creator, you have caused events that go back infinitely.
You could just have one event that's not caused.
That's what we call God.
God isn't an event.
An uncaused event is also, I don't understand what that means. So yeah, I agree.
It'd be something that happened that doesn't have an explanation or doesn't have a cause for its happening.
Right. So you and I agree that there's at least one thing that's uncaused.
Well, I think that we probably have different ontologies or different metaphysics for what causation even is. So I don't think that there is. I think that it's at least plausible that there is a first moment of time, but that first moment of time wasn't caused in some sort of temporal sense. I take causes to be explanations that are temporal in nature. So you have a thing that happens simultaneous to or before another thing that explains why the second thing happened, and so we would say that that's a cause. I think that if there is a first moment of time, kind of by definition, it can't be caused, because there's not really a thing that could have caused it if there's no time prior.
So you're saying that if nothing caused, if there was no causation before this universe, you're saying that...
I'm saying that if the universe is... Yes, that's roughly what I'm saying, that there's no causation outside of time. Now, what we can't say is that there can be dependency relations. So like,
yeah.
For example, I don't know, what would be a good example that would be easy to grasp? Yeah, the existence of prime numbers, so, like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, the existence of prime numbers depends on the existence of numbers at all. So that's like a dependency relation, but I wouldn't say that numbers cause prime numbers to exist. that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Yeah, so
in the same way, I would say that
argument from
the universe could have an ontological dependence, or like the first moment of time could have an ontological dependency on something without it being caused.
yeah, I agree.
And so, but I don't think that has to be a god. It doesn't really make sense to me. That,
Yeah, I mean that's how the proof would follow, is that we would define what God is and then eventually conclude
sure.
that this matches the reality that we live in, and it's more likely than not. If you're taking the pragmatic theory of truth, the correspondence theory of truth, or the coherence theory of truth, and if you accept things like epistemic probability, which means basically that something is true because it's more likely to be true, then it would follow that God is the most rational explanation for reality.
Okay, so let's go through the argument. So what's the definition of God that you're offering?
So I would say a list of attributes would be God is one, independent, necessary. I can assume that God is necessary, right, in my definition, or is that what we are concluding?
Well,
well, no, I mean, yeah, God would be necessary for me. Yeah.
So if God exists, then God would be necessary, is what you're trying to say, right?
No, that I'm defining God to be necessary.
Well,
because without God,
can I just define
intelligibility would be impossible?
Can I just define? Oh, we're running tag. Okay, so can I just define glebal to be necessary? And glebal is 2, and is independent, and also loves turkey.
You would run into some issues there with.
No, I wouldn't. It's necessary. Glebal.
Glebal,
yeah.
Okay, the glebal, you're adding 2 of those unnecessarily because you don't, I mean,
well, no, it's necessary. It has to be 2.
If one glebal can explain reality, why do you need 2?
One glebal can't explain reality because glebal are necessarily 2.
No, I think you'll run into problems there.
Okay, what are the problems?
Mr. Occam's razor, like I said, you don't need 2.
Occam's razor isn't a logical problem. Occam's razor is just like an epistemological tool that you use to evaluate competing hypotheses that are equally explanatory. But Occam's razor isn't a problem for glebal. Glebal is necessary. You can't have a universe without 2 glebal.
Is it all powerful and all?
No, it's slightly less than all powerful, and the will of one is dependent on the other. That's why there's 2.
Then I ought to care about God more than glebal.
But we're not talking about what you should care about. We're talking about what's real, because glebal is necessary. Therefore, God can't exist.
Yeah. I mean, I accept pragmatic theory of truth. So by that.
Oh, okay.
It would follow that I would care about God more than glebal.
Okay, so, but I don't really care about what you care about.
Are you frozen, or is it me?
I think it might be you.
Or am I frozen? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I don't really care what you care about, right?
No, but that's an important question, don't you think? Like, what is truth? Like, why does truth matter to you?
Well, look, like we can have that conversation. The point is that you and I both agree that truth is important, right? That like believing true things is important.
Your prompt assumes that truth is important. So
yeah, and I think that's probably it. Like, if you don't think truth is important, then like we just don't even have a conversation. Like, you and I both agree that believing true things is important. And so the question then is, how do we figure out what's true? And I've just told you that 2 glebal are necessary. That's what a glebal is. It's one of the 2 things that's necessary.
You're not justifying why you need 2 of the same thing.
Because it's necessary for there to be 2.
Why though?
If there were one,
if one can explain.
Look. So the will of a global glorp is dependent on something, and the only thing it can be dependent on is something that is necessary, which is another global glorp. And so you have to have two. Each one's will is dependent on the other.
Oh, right. So they're dependent on each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would dismiss just global glorp.
But they're necessary. So like you can dismiss it. You can deny reality, but like that doesn't make it not true.
I mean, it's one global glorp is depending on the other for its existence.
No, not for its existence, for its will, for its contingent will.
I thought they had the same will.
No, they have different wills.
They have different
The
wills
wills
and
just
they're
depend
both
on each
less
other.
than. So if they're both less than all powerful, or is one more powerful than the other?
No, they're both less than all powerful.
Yeah. So anything that is imperfect, I would say, won't explain.
What do you mean imperfect? They are perfect.
How are they perfect if they're less than all powerful?
Being all powerful is less perfect than being slightly less than all powerful.
How so?
Well, yeah, because because if you have all of the power, then there's absolutely nothing that you can't do, including the bad things.
You can do all logically possible things.
Yeah, I know, including the
maximally.
bad things. And so, like, look, that's just less perfect than being less than all powerful, right?
Yeah, well, you're introducing good and bad now, which is
Yeah, I
like
know.
in a separate discussion about morality, which is a, so for an all-powerful entity, every action would be a good action by definition, because morality is just a arbitrary.
That's not true. That's just not what all powerful means, and it's not what good means. So it's not true by definition.
Why is something good? Let's define good.
I mean, that depends on your metaphysics and morality. Like, my view is that like things are good because they align with your values, or things are not good because they don't align with your values. But like,
So
it's just not the case. Yeah, that's my view. It's just not the case that like by definition of good, or by definition of omnipotent, that it follows that anything an omnipotent being does is good. That's just not true by definition. Like, that's an argument you can make, but it's not true by definition.
I mean, I would say that anything that God does would be what he does. Like, no one can question what God does. I mean, that's why I'm saying
cool.
good
No,
and bad only applies to human beings.
That's cool. That's like a cool assertion, but like seems kind of unrelated to the point that I was just making, which is, namely, it's just not the case that it's true by definition, right?
So where were we again?
So my point is that you were trying to define God into existence by saying God is necessary, and you can't define things into existence. That's an unfortunate reality. You can't really define things into existence.
Okay, that's why I asked the.
So, like, if you want to say if God exists, then God is necessary, that's totally reasonable. You can say that, absolutely.
Yeah, but in order to prove that God exists, I have to give you some properties about the thing that I'm proving that
Yeah.
exists.
So like,
right?
yeah. So for example, would you say that Voldemort is evil?
Who?
Voldemort,
Who's he?
the main bad guy in Harry Potter.
Oh, I don't know too much about Harry Potter, but within that
He kills babies.
book or framework,
He kills babies. Is he evil?
like innocent babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say from our point of view as human beings, I would say that unaliving babies is bad. Yeah.
So when we say, and I'm glad we agree on that. When we say that Voldemort is evil, what we mean is that if Voldemort actually existed, then Voldemort would be evil. Similarly, we say that, when we talk about heroism, right? We can talk about like heroes in a story. If the hero actually existed, then they would be heroic. So when we talk about properties of things, like a thing being necessary, or a thing being independent, or a thing being good, or a thing being powerful, what we mean to say is that if the thing exists, then it has that property, right? Unless you're saying that things that don't exist can have properties as well.
So I guess I cannot define God then? Like, I cannot define God
You can
at all?
define,
Like,
look, you can define God by saying that if God existed, it would be a thing with these characteristics. That's a totally reasonable thing to say. So then what we're saying is that and I'm just going to pull this up so then we can both look at it together. So what we're saying, this is the definition of God. So we're saying these are parts of the definition, and so what this means is that if God exists, then God is one, independent, and necessary. And I'm happy to accept this. This is totally fine.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like in the middle of my lunch break, but okay. So that's the definition of God.
Are there any other characteristics you want to add?
Yeah. So there's more. So
Okay.
I'm not a deist. I'm a theist, right? So I only ought to care about a definition of God that has a real world consequence. So God is a personal God. God is wise, all knowing, has all knowledge. What else? Yeah, I think that would be enough.
Okay.
To kind of
independent, necessary. I'm just putting it down here. Personal, wise, and all-knowing. Okay, fine. Okay, we can agree on this. If this is the definition that you're working with, absolutely. So, why should I think that this thing exists? What's the argument?
So I would start with, if it's some assertions about reality, I would say that something exists. Then I would run the Kalam arguments for contingency and causality to prove that there has to be one necessary being.
The Kalam cosmological argument doesn't get you to there unless you're working with like the second stage of Kalam. But I don't even grant the first stage of the Kalam argument, so.
What do you reject in Kalam again?
I don't think either premises are well defended.
Which one? That everything that begins to exist has a cause, or
yeah? So I'll just write it down for everybody so everybody can see it. The Kalam cosmological argument is everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2, the universe began to exist. Conclusion, the universe has a cause. Right. So I don't grant either P1 or P2. I think that P2 is probably, like, we don't have empirical data that even says P2 is true. And I think P1 is probably, like, I think P1, it depends on what we mean by begins to exist. If you take begins to exist as like, would you say that like a chair begins to exist when it's assembled by a carpenter? If that's what you mean by begins to exist, then absolutely we can say that we can talk about things that begin to exist that don't have causes. Like, for example, when, but so if you mean something else by begins to exist, then maybe P1 is true. It might be vacuously true in that maybe nothing has began to exist. In which case, then obviously it's true that everything that begins to exist has a cause. But so P1, you have to be a little bit careful about what you mean by begins to exist and what you mean by cause. P2 is probably not supported empirically, and so I don't think that the conclusion follows really at all.
Yeah, I would go with that chair example, or like the chicken pizza in my oven began to exist.
Okay. Well, in that case, if we use that notion, where like it counts as a thing beginning to exist if like there is a new configuration of stuff that's like made from an old configuration of stuff, then we can talk about beta decay, which is a kind of nuclear reaction where you have a neutron, and the neutron decays into a proton, an electron, and an electron antineutrino. And the cause for this happening is absent. It happens spontaneously. There is, using our best laws of physics, there is no cause for why it decays when it decays. It just happens. And so that would be a counterexample to P1 in that case.
Mm-hmm. So can't you say that the molecule or the neutron, the substance itself, neutron itself, is responsible for is the cause behind its own decay?
The neutron is, so it'd be hard to say that it's the cause. It's just like that would be like saying, is the pizza dough the cause for the pizza being made? Well, not really.
I mean, the distinction here is, I think there's the cause. cause of existence versus a precise deterministic trigger. Like even if physicists cannot predict that the exact moment of at a nucleus decay, the decay still depends on things like the existence of the nucleus, the weak
But
nuclear interaction.
we're not talking about dependence relations. We're talking about causal relations.
Okay, quantum fields, physics laws.
But those aren't causal relations. Those are dependence relations.
Don't you have to have the nuclear weak nuclear force prior
Again,
to the decay?
That's a dependence relation, not a causal relation. Right, like
I don't see a
so a pizza depends on the pizza dough for the pizza to exist, but the pizza dough doesn't cause the pizza to exist. The person who makes the pizza caused the pizza to exist, right?
Yeah, so there's some
So
relationship.
What you've been giving me is you've been saying, well, the pizza dough is required for the pizza to exist. The tomatoes are required for the pizza to exist. And I'm like, look, none of those are the pizza maker.
Right, it's the configuration that matters, right? Is that what you mean?
What I mean is that
all of them
is that when we're talking about a cause, we're talking about the pizza maker. We're not talking about the things. We're not talking about the way. We're not talking about the composition of the pizza. And so what I'm saying is that even though for beta decay, when a neutron decays into these pieces, we know what the ingredients are. We know that you need the weak nuclear force, you need like quantum fields, you need all these things, but there's no pizza maker, right? There's no cause for the decay.
I mean, there's an exact methodology on how these different laws are interacting with each other. So
absolutely, but there's no cause. There's nothing that explains why it happened when it happened.
I mean, in our world, we would just say God. God is making things interact with each other, like the weak nuclear force, the quantum field, the laws of physics, cause the decay to happen. But I guess
okay, yeah,
that's
but I mean, like
if trying to prove,
yeah, so you can't really use that, right?
Okay. Yeah, but I don't think it's a good analogy because
it's not an analogy; it's a counterexample.
Yeah, I mean, you're using that as an example, but beta decay does not involve something coming to existence from absolute nothing, right? I
well,
mean,
but that wasn't the contention, and I'll pull it up again. This is why I asked.
System.
This is why I asked if by cause you mean the kind of, or if by begin to exist you mean the kind of beginning to exist that a pizza does when you make a pizza, right? And you said, yeah, that's a totally good. P1 applies to that. That's what begins to exist can apply to. And so if we mean begins to exist in the way that a pizza begins to exist, then that would mean that it should equally well apply to a neutron decaying, the proton, the electron, antineutrino beginning to exist. And yet,
yeah,
according to P1, that thing should have a cause, but there is no such cause.
But in the pizza example, I'm less concerned about the actual human being. I'm more concerned about the actual final product of what
right. But the cause is the human being, right?
No, not necessarily. A machine can make a pizza.
Or it's whatever made the pizza, right? It's like the machine or the person or whatever. It's something that caused the pizza to go from not being assembled to being assembled.
Yes, from state A to state B, there was a change, and that was explained either by a machine or a human.
Yeah.
The same thing with the meta decay is
no. There is no such thing for the neutron. There's no such explanation for why it decays when it decays.
I disagree with that, honestly.
Well, I mean you might disagree with it because you might disagree with it because you think that God is the cause. That God is God explains why it decays when it decays, but that's just kind of putting the cart before the horse, right?
What I'm saying is there's still a causal framework that the decays are working with.
No, there's not. There's not a cause for why it decays when it decays, right? So when you talk about pizza,
are you saying we just don't know it?
No,
I mean,
I'm saying that modern physics, like the way that we understand modern physics, says that there isn't one. There isn't a cause.
I think. Are you conflating philosophical naturalism or
no No, this is
methodological
like
naturalism.
this is like the
Don't you have to
mainstream view.
don't you have to presuppose that every natural cause is caused by another natural cause, like ultimately?
I mean, you
it's just
could.
unknown. It's just unknown to you right now. Right?
I mean,
that's what physicists would say.
Right, but
is
then
unknown.
look. So what we say, what we would say, we physicists, what we would say is that look, the current models require, at least if you use the Copenhagen interpretation, require that there is indeed no cause. Now you could say, oh well, maybe we're wrong about the current models. Well, sure, I guess, but you can't then use that as support for P1. You can't say, oh, well, what if the physicists are wrong, then maybe P1 is true. That's not an argument in favor of P1. I'm giving you a potential counterexample for P1. You have to show that that counterexample is not a counterexample if you want P1 to be true.
Yeah, but even if you give one counterexample with an unknown cause, like I still, it trumps the idea that majority of the things we observe as human beings, if you accept
so we're changing this to most things
probability
that begin to exist have a cause. Is this P1 now? Then we say that the universe began to exist. Okay, so then this argument just doesn't follow. It's just not valid anymore.
I mean, I'm using epistemic probability. I accept things to be true because they're more likely to be true.
Okay, but it's more likely the case. So the current models that we use, so the way that we evaluate probability of things, right, is that we evaluate the data that we have access to, and then we come up with explanations, and we evaluate those explanations given the data, right? So if we're doing epistemics here, if we're doing like epistemic probabilities, then the epistemic probability is that indeed there are things that are uncaused, and those would be quantum mechanical effects. That would be the likely conclusion, actually. The unlikely conclusion is that, oh, we're just wrong about that, and actually there is a cause, even though it disagrees with all of the observable data. Even though we have no explanation for that cause. There still is one. That would be the epistemically unlikely thing.
In science, aren't majority of the things we know are based on cause, like causal effect?
So
why are we dismissing all of that
yes.
research?
In quantum mechanics, no. And quantum mechanics is more fundamental than classical mechanics.
Okay. So you're saying that because of this one example, you are positing
it's
that
the entirety of quantum mechanics for what it's worth. Not just one example. I just gave you a simple one.
So you're positing that the universe does not have a cause?
No, what I'm positing is that the claim... What I'm positing that the claim is so the original claim was everything that begins to exist has a cause. I'm positing that that claim is not well supported by the data.
Is it more likely that it has a cause, or is it less likely?
No, it seems like so what I'm... Wait a minute, hold on. What's the question? Are you asking for a given thing, is it more or less likely to have a cause? Is that your question?
No, for the universe.
Well, for the universe, I have no idea. I suspect that the universe doesn't have a cause, but that's just a suspicion.
So you're working with the premise that universe most likely does not have a cause.
Yeah.
It just popped into existence from
No, I also don't think that that's true. I don't think that there was ever nothing.
What's the third then? Okay, so so there is something behind the universe.
I don't think that there was ever nothing. I think that the only thing that's ever existed was the universe.
I mean, have you like thought this through? Like, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, I've thought it through plenty. What's the issue?
You're positing that...
I'm positing that... Where'd he go? Oh, we got a phone call. Yeah, maybe... That's funny. Maybe the pot is calling him. The pot calling the kettle black, that whole bit. It's funny. It's very funny. I thought it was funny. Why insult him? I don't think I've insulted him. It's just the pot calling the kettle black is like a thing that you say when like somebody says something that also applies to them. Maybe it was God calling. By the way, when you're off the app, I can't hear you. Oh, he left. We'll give him a minute. He might come back. Jesus was trans according to scripture. That's a funny claim. I've heard that claim before, but it is funny. All right, well, let's take a, we have some super chats in the meantime. From ZH Kane with the $5 Australian. Thank you so much. It's very appreciated. And likewise from Germ04R with the $5 science teacher here. Thank you for fighting the good fight. I do my best. I do my best, and it's people like you who people like you who continue to support me that make me want to keep doing this. I also get a kick out of it. Well, I don't know if he's coming back. Let's check for any cash apps or anything. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, we have some guests on Discord that we can bring up, so let's bring them up. Let us bring up Blank Space. Blank Space, how's it going?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Blank Space, do you think that the world was created?
That's a loaded question, but sure, I guess, yeah, sure.
Well, I mean,
like
the only reason I ask is because if you didn't, then like, why are you here?
Right, so to defend the God position, right? Is that the,
well,
that's the main
yeah,
premise.
some sort of creation position. It's slightly broader than God. Like you could, in principle, believe in like a simulator or something like that, which doesn't have to be a God. But yeah, roughly.
Right. Yeah. So I am kind of like a God believer person. Yeah. So yeah. So I guess just to I think that the words are weird, right? So we're using words that mean things, but
yep.
So create. Yeah. So created. You know, I think that. Well, I guess I'm curious. Firstly, like, what's your metaphysics like perspective on what do you think this is? What do you think reality is?
I think it's like the physical stuff, whatever the physical stuff might be. I think it's that.
Okay, and it's just that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. What do you think about like idealism versus materialism?
I've heard it said that optimal idealism, and by the way, I wouldn't say I'm a materialist, I would say I'm a physicalist, but, or at least maybe not a physicalist, but something akin to a physicalist. Physicalism is probably the closest to what my position is, but I'm not sure if it's kind of hard to define what something physical is. Anyway,
yeah.
But
Okay.
to answer your question, I've heard it said that the most optimal version of idealism and the most optimal version of physicalism are nearly indistinguishable.
Right.
So perhaps it's not even perhaps it's not even like something worth. Perhaps there's not even a distinction worth discussing.
Yeah, that would be the angle that I'd try to tackle you on. Is I would try to say that like it's actually just a semantic distinction, right?
Very well, could be, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that actually kind of opens the door to like kind of like God is a reasonable position, to be honest. So okay, so what do we think reality fundamentally is, right? Reality is just at the base level, it's probably some like distinction, right? Some kind of like just logical relational pattern that just kind of expands and evolves and like whatever, right? And then we don't know. I mean, you're more of a scientist than I am, but obviously the evolution of that brings different regions of the universe, different laws of physics, right?
Sure.
Different patterns and whatever, and we're in a region of that, right? But ultimately, I guess the claim would be is that you're conscious right now, and I'm conscious, right?
Yep.
So
whatever that means,
is a thing.
I am it. Yeah.
Yeah. So fundamentally, awareness is, you believe probably is that awareness is something that's generated by the brain, and that intelligence. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I guess two things. Sorry if I'm kind of spread out here, but one is to define intelligence, and what intelligence is, and two, the nature of consciousness and the fundamental nature of consciousness versus whether it's something that is created by the brain. And
so look,
actually,
I think that I could even just grant that there is just like a consciousness particle, and that's the fundamental thing, and everything has it. And if you put a bunch of them together, you get more complex consciousness. And now I don't even have to be like a pure physicalist.
Yeah,
I could be like a panpsychist, and I still don't know how you get to God.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't actually believe that, but let's actually from there, if everything has a fundamental consciousness particle, then it'd just be semantic to say that everything in the universe is fundamentally intelligent. The whole of the entire thing is an intelligent creature.
It's not clear to me that. But look, so it might be the case that intelligence and consciousness are eons apart from each other as far as I'm concerned. But even if they're not, saying that the whole universe is conscious, or that everything in the universe has consciousness, A, it doesn't follow that the universe itself is conscious. B, it doesn't follow that there's a conscious thing that created the universe, right?
Okay, but created and is, so even in like Christianity or something, right? Like God was before whatever, right? So there is God was never created. God just was, and in that sense, it's the same thing as
right,
you're
God
saying,
was,
you're saying the same thing.
and then God created the universe, right?
Yeah, but God is the universe too, right?
Not in Christianity.
So, well, depending on what kind of Christianity you subscribe to, right? But definitely yes as well.
I don't know if there's any type of Christianity that says God is the universe.
Gnosticism, I mean, Orthodoxy, any kind of mystic traditions, and not just Christianity, but religion in general. Right?
Well, I mean,
religion
sure, there are religious traditions that say God is the universe. I just don't think that like anything that we would call Christian today, and like maybe there are some like maybe there's some fringe versions which you could be right about that say that God is the universe. But like as far as I'm concerned, if you're saying that God is the universe, then we're talking about the same thing. Your worldview is compatible with atheism.
Yeah, again, it's semantics, but the fundamental distinction would be to believe that reality is intelligent, right? Itself. You're intelligent, you're reality.
Yeah, it may like look, I'm not a panpsychist because I think that that's probably assuming too much, but even if we grant panpsychism, saying that the universe is intelligent, again, isn't the same thing as saying that theism is true, or even deism is true.
Okay, but think about the implications of that. If you're saying that, if you assume that, if you grant that, then you're saying reality is an intelligent thing that's infinite. Isn't that the definition of God?
No.
Okay.
The definition of God is typically something like some personal agent that is responsible for creating or otherwise founding the universe or reality.
Right, but if you went to like Mount Athos, right, like some Orthodox mystics, they would agree with me, right? Like,
okay, well then I would just say that their worldview is consistent with atheism.
Yes, yeah. I mean, sure, they wouldn't. I mean, like, you can't disagree about facts about things, right? But no, they would still take the theist position. And
if their position is not that there's an independent God separate from the external world that is responsible for the world or the external world, then it just doesn't seem like that's theism.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's
like
just
maybe maybe it's just a semantics dispute. But like, if your view is that, like, my view is that creationism is false. That's the prompt here. And what that means is that there's not some agent separate from reality that created, separate from, say, the physical universe, whatever that might be, that is responsible for creating the physical universe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Right?
Okay, we agree that creationism is false then.
Like that there's like some dude in the clouds that like.
No, I didn't say some dude in the clouds.
Them. Yeah. I
didn't say that.
Yeah, but also.
That's not the claim of creationists. If you take like the Pope, that's not what the Pope believes. But the Pope also doesn't believe that God is the universe. The Pope believes that God is some transcendent metaphysical entity that created the universe and then also manifested a guy and then killed himself to save himself from whatever, all that stuff. But like, the Pope does not believe a dude in the clouds.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would suggest that, like, obviously, maybe you're not into this stuff, but I'm assuming you debate it all the time. But like, there's so many mystic traditions that
There are, and
I
I'm
guess,
not very
you're right.
interested in them.
Right. You're not, but you debate it all the time, which is interesting because
No, I
really
don't debate mystic positions all the time, actually.
Okay.
I avoid them like the plague because they're not interesting to me.
Okay. Well, okay.
Like, in fact, I actually despise the idealism debate. Like, I think it's so boring.
Okay. I mean, that's fine, but I don't know. That's what you're doing, right? I don't know.
No, I'm not. No, I'm absolutely not debating the idealist versus physicalist position. That's not what I'm doing. That's explicitly what I'm avoiding by using the prompt that I'm using.
But it's true, man. It's real. I don't know. God's real.
Okay. Well, look, you can think God's real if by God you mean the universe composed of consciousness particles. Fine. That still means creationism is false.
In some narrow scope of some evolved like cultural position on Christianity,
yes.
Sure, but
well, I mean, in some sense it's not that narrow. It's basically, with a few exceptions, it's basically been the dominant view of every single culture in history.
Yeah, but they also all have mystics, and they have people that actually,
and those are still not the dominant views.
No, they're not the dominant views, because the dominant views are the theological perspectives, right? It's people that like read books and say what Jesus said, and that stuff.
I'm not even talking about Christianity. Hinduism has creationism.
Yes, but it also has like Advaita sects. It has all sorts of mystic traditions as well, right? But the things that get written down and get passed on, right, and become traditions or religions in that sense, are things that are written down and have logic to them and have positions. There are things that are less so, right? That things that like religions that explicitly try to avoid that, like Buddhism or something, right? They really try to avoid like the legalistic theological debate stuff, right? But that's the stuff that evolves and gets passed down and becomes part of like human cultures and like whatever, because that's the only stuff that can. The mystic traditions cannot, right? You cannot.
Mystic traditions literally have been written down.
Yes, yeah, but they're consistent with what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, and I just find them kind of uninteresting because it seems like, as far as the facts are concerned, there is no disagreement, at least amongst reasonable mystic people. There's no disagreement of what facts of the world there are. The point and so there's not really a debate, a debate to be had. The point is that if you take the traditional creationist, whatever they might be, there is a distinct disagreement about what the facts of the matter are, and there's something to actually talk about.
Yeah. I mean, but but it's like you take Buddha, and he would be like, you tell him about quantum physics, he'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. You know?
And so I probably wouldn't debate Buddha.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's probably not a disagreement on the facts of the matter.
Yeah, but Buddha would be a god guy. but yeah,
not a god in the sense that not a god in the sense that I understand. His views would be consistent with atheism. Anyway, look, we're doing the meta conversation now, so we should probably just cut it there.
Sounds good. All right, man.
Take care. Like, by the way, this is absolutely why I avoid all of the idealist mystic stuff, because it just becomes a semantic game. Like, that's all it is. It's just, well, I'm just defining God as this thing that we both agree exists. Like, okay, it's just not helpful. The question of the God debate that's worth having is whether or not a God that both people agree on the definition of exists, right? That's the reasonable thing to, that's the thing to actually debate. From 5D, from 5Ds of dodgeball. Oh, I see what you did there. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. God, my raspy voice is perfect for that guy. You asked if Voldemort is evil because he killed babies. The caller asked, innocent babies? What is a non-innocent baby? It's a good question. It's honestly a good question. What is indeed a non-innocent baby? Well, look. Was Hitler innocent when he was a baby? Probably. Was Satan innocent when he was a baby? Was Satan ever a baby? Jesus was a baby, and Jesus was good when he was a baby. Baby Jesus did miracles, right? So it stands to reason that there could be bad babies, like anti-Jesus. Anti-baby Jesus would be not innocent. So maybe that guy, maybe that baby. Some babies are really smelly. Does that count? True. Yeah, but generally babies are innocent because babies haven't done anything, unless reincarnation is true. If reincarnation is true, then there could be evil babies, right? Ah, Stewie. Stewie's an evil baby. Yeah, there you go. Well, at least like season 1 through 4, Stewie is an evil baby. I feel like maybe, I don't know. At some point along the way, Stewie just became Brian's friend and isn't evil anymore, and is just kind of like a jerk. But Stewie, yeah, now Stewie's just gay. There you go. Not gay in a bad way, but just gay in a homosexual way. Yep, okay, that sounds about right. So, Stewie is evil by virtue of his intelligence. That's a good point. That's well said. Okay, so we have no guests in the guest box except Kantbot. Maybe we bring him up. Oh. Oh yeah, he's still loading. One more call. One more call. One more call. We'll get there. Kantbot will come up and we'll give him 4 minutes or something. No, Seth is Brian. Looks like Kantbot doesn't want to come up. What a disappointing Kant. See what I did there? See what I did there? I know that Seth plays those characters. I'm saying Seth, the person, Seth MacFarlane, is just Brian. Brian is just Seth MacFarlane, being himself. I can't believe you said that. Yeah, I know. I'm very funny. Oh, we have a guest named Crusader Knight. I feel like I've talked to him before. Hello. Crusader
Hello.
Knight, how's it going?
Good, I'm good.
Are you hanging out near the trains?
Yeah.
Okay, so Crusader Knight, do you think that the world was created?
Oh, I thought it was like flat Earth. I
Nope.
thought it was a flat Earth created.
Wait, can you not read the background?
I did, but I got confused. Earlier you had flat Earth
Yeah,
debate,
and then it changed.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I thought it said flat Earth is dead.
It did, like 2.5 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
And you've only been here for like, you were only in the guest box for like a minute.
Okay.
Oh, that's so funny. Dude hanging out by trains fails to track.
Okay,
Oh, you guys are so funny.
The question: Do you mind talking about the moon landing, or are you good?
All right, we can talk about the moon landing, whatever you want, Crusader Knight.
Okay, okay. So I think the moon. I believe that the moon landing is a hoax.
Okay, why?
I mean, if we had the technology to do that like 50 years ago, we should already have the technology to do that now, don't you think?
We do.
Yes, we do, but we're not landing on the moon right now.
Yeah, just because you have the technology to do something doesn't mean that you are doing it.
Well, but still, I think I still think that it was a hoax because they could lie to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Who?
Like
Who could lie to the people?
NASA or the government.
NASA's not a person.
Oh,
The
sorry,
government's not a person. Who's doing the lying?
The government because
The government's not a person. Government can't talk.
the government is the people. That's what government means.
I agree. The
Do
government.
you
So
know
are you
what-
saying the people, all of the people are lying?
Do you know what the word government means? It means govern your mentality, govern your mind.
Oh, that's literally not what it means. If you want to go look up the etymology of government, we can. I'm actually kind of curious. Let's look it up together. Let's do a time. No, that's the wrong thing. Looking up government etymology. That's what we're doing. That's how we're spending our time, y'all. Let's go to etymology.com or etmo online. Government comes from Chaucer. Act of governing or ruling. Also, system by which a thing is governed, which comes from Old French. Gouvernement. Control, direction, or administration. From governor, to steer, be at the helm of. Govern, rule, command, direct. From Latin, gubernare. To direct, rule, guide, govern. Originally to steer or to pilot. The meaning, the governing power was given in a given place is from 1702. So this comes from Latin, I guess. It comes from gubernare, which means to direct, rule, guide, or govern, but originally it meant to steer or to pilot. So no, it doesn't have anything to do with mind. But good try.
You could see you could see right there say rule, right? Rule to rule people, rule their mind.
No, it doesn't say anything about mind though, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, give me a second, okay?
Yep. Please don't fall into the train tracks. I guess, so I we can, while he's gone, we can just keep reading. So, that originally comes from, the gubernare originally comes from govern. Now, govern, I guess, so it's a nautical borrowing. So gubernare is to direct, rule, guide, govern, which is originally to steer, to pilot. A nautical borrowing from Greek kybernon, to steer or pilot a ship. Direct as a pilot, figuratively to guide or to govern. The K to G sound shift is perhaps via the medium of Etruscan, which is interesting. So this goes pretty far back. Welcome back.
Oh, hey, I'm back. But yeah, dude. I mean, like I said before, I don't really believe on the moon landing at all. I think it was just like.
But why?
Made up.
But why?
Because of technology. That's why we should like.
What about technology?
We should be advanced enough to.
We are.
you say it very clearly, but I don't think you're getting the point.
I don't think you're making a point.
Okay. Like just quick opinion. In Mars, we should have already done that. The moon landing, we should already be stepping foot on Mars already. We should
Why?
have already put people on. Because of the technology.
Why would the technology make it easier to go 50 million miles?
Okay. Sorry, but I wasn't really. I mean, it's not really a debate. It was just an opinion.
Some opinions are wrong. Some opinions should be kept to themselves.
Okay. Well, all right.
Thanks for being here, Crusader Knight. Yeah, I think that we put him out of his misery, right? That's the right call. Doesn't even need to go on YouTube. He wasn't even here for most of it, so. All right. Technologia. Yeah, there you go. From Simeon Urchin with the $5. For the sake of Crusader Knight / Shred of Ego, I don't think we need this last call out. This is already beyond sad. True. True. Guys, I found a scorpion in my house this morning. Love that. Yeah, I was just kind of like hanging out, and I put a cup on it, and I think I heard it a little bit when I tried to slide paper underneath so that I could flip it, and I chucked it outside. Yeah. You can't really get rid of scorpions here. I'm in Arizona. Anyway, so we're gonna end the live. We're a little bit past the time, so let's end the live here. I will be live tomorrow. We will do another topic, and I'll see you guys then. But before I go, make sure that if you want to support me, if this is the thing that you care about, make sure that you check out my website. So, oh, actually, before you even do that, I have a Facebook page now. If anybody's like 60 years or older and still uses Facebook, this is my Facebook. Make sure that doesn't have anything sus on it. This is my Facebook account. I post videos there. It has 1.1 thousand ish people. It'll increase it with time, but go follow if you want to see my stuff pop up on your Facebook feed. Trying to get that off the ground, as a separate income stream or whatever. So consider that. If you want to support me, yeah, Facebook sucks, but if you do use Facebook, go follow me. If you do want to support me, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. And the easiest way to do it would just be to go to my website, which I'll show you because I love showing people my website. Very proud of it. Go to my website. Hey, that's me. Hey, that's me. And then you go down here. See down here, this little bit down here? It says support me. And there are ways to support me. And all of these ways means that you're not giving any money to any big corporation, or at least a very small amount. Because if you want to become a member on like YouTube or on TikTok or on Twitch or whatever, a pretty big fraction goes to the parent company. But if you want to support me just for me, you can do it there. So yeah, check out my website. It also has my research on it too. There's a little tab. You can check that out too. Anyway, I'm going to end the live. I will see you guys tomorrow for some more debates. Until then,